tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Revolution will be podcasted.
All right, we're back, and welcome to Tinfoil Hat live from the Wise Wolf Gold and Silver Studios. That's right. Go to samtripoli.gold. Use the promo code tinfoil, and you too can get in on the Precious Metals game for as little as $50 a month, sent right directly to your door. Very excited to be back. I know some of you guys think I'm dead and gone. I mean, you guys are doing in memoriam for my shows, dude. It was 2 weeks off, guys. I get it. I do really appreciate the passion. I wish you would trust me. You will know when it's over. If it's ever over, when it's over, you will know. There will be no like, oh, is it over? You're like, there'll be an announcement.
He grew a mustache.
You know. So it's really crazy. Great to be back in the studio. Happy to be back with the boys. Happy to have our guest in. He's been on a couple times, and we're very excited to have him back from Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. Tony Arterburn, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Sam. Thanks for having me back. Actually, this is the fourth time. This is the third time for Beans. Beans is back for the third time.
It's good to have both you guys here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a blessing. And I think you've been in studio more than anybody else.
Is that true?
I think we had Jay Dyer. We had what's his face? No, is Isis? No, he's been in the old studio.
Because I don't think Eddie's even been in this one.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. You must be royalty, buddy.
Hey, man. It's an honor. What can I say? You know, I was reading one of my favorite books from the 1920s the other day. It's by Will Durant. It's called The Story of Philosophy. And I've been reading that for 20-something years. And imagine my surprise when I found out that you're Sir Francis Bacon. Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
Literally. So I did this live, and I was at my mom's house, and I went in there, and I'm like, Mom, am I Sir Francis Bacon? She's like, no. Who is that? That's where it's gotten to. The fifth flat earther has reached my mother.
That's great.
And now he's going after, like, everybody. And it's just like, it's just crazy. But... You know, I want to tell you something. So we went out to dinner. You brought your friend, Heather Locklear, and that was a lot of fun. And I felt like bad because I felt this incredible pressure to entertain her.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I grew up loving this one.
Okay.
And I hope I didn't monopolize the lunch we had. I felt so bad after, but it was like, it's Heather Locklear. We got to make her laugh.
No, I thought you did great. I mean, I knew that you guys would have a lot in common because she told me stories about, just comedy and things that she loved, and obviously Hollywood and entertainment. But she was a real fan of Sam Kinison. I know that you were too.
Oh yeah, her prime was during the greatest time ever. Like, she lived an amazing life. She's still living, but it's like such a blessing.
Yeah, she's an amazing human being, and I'm glad we got to. That was what, September of last year?
Yeah, wow, time flies, huh?
I know.
It's unbelievable, but it's also like as I get older, there's a lot of people like, oh, I'm getting old, I'm sad. I'm like, I'm good, dude. Like, I did it all 1,000 times, and I'm ready just to chill. So I couldn't imagine she did it. She has to be like, I'm cool. I'm down.
And she's super zen, and I think there's a lot of respect for her. There's a lot of wisdom there. I mean, she's 18 years older than me. I met her on a plane coming back from your tinfoil hat. So I think it was December 5th of 2024, and we just hit it. I had my dog with me, and just hit it off. She's just
that's gotta be the funniest thing ever. Because when you sit in a plane, you're like, please let me sit next to a hot chick. Mostly so they don't take up all the seat, right? You're like, tiny hot chicks don't take up. And then Heather Locklear sits next to you. Yeah. You're like, that is the top of the top right there. I mean, I was on a flight to Miami. It was all OnlyFans models. It's the craziest. I'm like, is this a flight or a bang bus? Like, what are we doing here? But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're the first episode back from our tiny little break, even though it wasn't much of a break. But I'm glad you're here because the world is chaotic, dude. It's a really crazy time. And I'm glad we could sit down and talk to you about it. You know, you were nice enough to sponsor the First World War debate. You've been sponsoring the Contender series, which is really great. And the reason I really love you, buddy, is that you remind me of a couple of people in the conspiracy world who are like, and maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe you can answer it. Politically atheist. Like the understanding that like nobody's coming to save us, you know? And this idea that we can vote our way out of this is kind of chaotic to me and stupid. Would I say that's correct or do you?
100%. I mean, to my own detriment. I too. Because I started out years ago. I mean, my first broadcasting stint in radio was 14 years ago in a radio station out of Dallsa. And I was already like, the black sheep. I mean, they already knew I was going to be different, and then they just started to hate me over time. I think by about 6 months in, they're like, "Well, wait, we got a combat veteran who's anti-war. The guy wants to bring back the jobs, and he doesn't like free trade agreements." This is before Trump. This is before that all came on the scene, and I just remember just being feeling so isolated. I'm like, I'm not partisan, so that was a big red flag for them because the partisanship, and especially in like conservative talk, is their moneymaker. It's how they made now it's dying, by the way. Like they reached like total entropy. So like the whole thing is falling apart. The entire narrative, because it was the subtle behind the scenes understanding that, okay, once you reach a certain level, we're going to fly you to Israel. You need to go and kiss the wall and do that. And then that was like conservative commentating, like in the major companies, and it floats through most of talk radio and then up to Fox News, and you have to be pro-war. So like I was never going to be invited anyway. And then, along the way, even with MAGA and other things, I supported Trump early, like in 2016.
Right.
And I'd run for Congress, and I decided I'm going to be the first candidate to support Trump. He was in the primary, like before Super Tuesday, before he was still getting flack from the establishment, which I don't even know if it was real now. I don't know.
This is all scripted, dude.
I just remember making a decision early on. I'm like, okay, this is becoming cultish, and I think partisanship is where any sort of real thinking goes to die. Like you stop having any sort of discernment. And I just said, I'm not going to follow this. And I used to be a fill-in host. That was my first, like, out of radio. My second iteration was I was on InfoWars as a fill-in host for, I don't know, probably at least 100 hours of broadcasting. I fill in for David Knight or Owen Schroyer. Those are great people. But I just remember I had to make a decision. I don't believe the stuff that would have gotten me all the views, right? And that's why I brought up you're the Sir Francis Bacon. Now, I mean, the entire narrative has gotten stupid. I'm sorry, like even in our space, in alternative media, like it's gotten really dumb. And I don't know if they're just doing that to muddy everything, it's kind of like Q was with, trust the plan, and like, here's something real, like here's the conspiracy to set up the Federal Reserve, and also JFK Jr.'s alive. It's like, and when you take those two things, they cancel each other out. And I think that's the whole, like a limited hangout's the point of it. But yeah, I feel like you have to be more and more careful about who you listen to. And I know, like, the people that I know, 100% genuine like you, I mean, again, you're not going to say something you don't believe just to get clicks or just to get following. And so many people will.
It's crazy to me. So we talk about this a lot on a lot of my shows about like these content creators who have blown up and whether you should trust them or not. And I'm always like, I'll listen until you fake the funk on a nasty dunk, which is from an old Shaquille O'Neal commercial. Will Chamberlain's like, what's the code word? Don't fake the funk on a nasty dunk. And so Tucker Carlson just interviewed Hunter Biden. Yes. And like whoever Hunter Biden's PR person is, they deserve an award like right now. Like just make up an award show and give it to them. But like when I talk about faking the funk on a nasty dunk, for Tucker Carlson to speak into a microphone and say that the laptop story was an Israeli psyop to destroy the Bidens. Now, I'm not saying Israel didn't want to destroy the Bidens, but to sit there and say that that wasn't real when some guy took all the content from there, put it on a website, and you could literally go through everything that was on there is literally like what I talk about. Like, okay, now we have to question everything that comes out of this motherfucker's mouth. And this is the guy who started to have on like friends of mine on his show. So is there an opportunity that maybe at some point I could have gone on there? Yeah. But I'm not going to not call him out on that. That's egregious to sit there and cover for this motherfucker who's getting foot jobs from his dead brother's daughter, dude. Like this is who we're dealing with right now. Why aren't you asking him, why do you have the Finger Lakes tattooed on your back? The place where people go missing all the time. Why is that on your fucking back, man? Explain it to you. I mean, people could go to Sam, why do you have a tramp stamp? It's not a tramp stamp. It's a champ stamp. And it's for my dead friend that didn't get enough love when he passed away. So people will ask me and I can tell them about my friend Jeff Scott. I'll tell you why I got that particular tattoo. Why do you have the Finger Lakes tattooed on your back? Why isn't anyone asking this motherfucker that? Why did you just tell every one of your listeners and your huge reach that what happened to Hunter Biden is literally a fucking psyop? It's fucking bullshit, dude. And that's where you go, I can't trust anything comes out of your mouth after that.
Yeah, it's tough anymore. And you have to look, I mean, Tucker originally was so anti 9/11 truth. I mean, basically, I mean, he just dug his own hole there. That's why so many people in our space are like, yeah, whatever. I mean, even when he's come this far, now I was talking to Richard Gage, formerly architect.
Yeah, we've had him on a couple times.
Great guy. He was on America Unplugged, and Donald Jeffries was interviewing him, and he was saying that I think Tucker's going to be at his next event, if I'm not mistaken. At least that's what it was. They were in communication. So, I mean, we've come a long way, and I think the issue now is that we're reaching, this unveiling. I think that's what the definition of the apocalypse is. It's not like the end of time or Armageddon. It's the unveiling. So I think a lot of people, like the scales have fallen from people's eyes. I mean, it's a great question on Hunter Biden, right? And same thing with Candace Owens had Hunter Biden on. I will say from when he's gone on these shows, it really makes me think. I was, again, even me, like trying to navigate all this and not be captured by the fulcrum of what I'm supposed to believe in the narrative machine. Like I'm supposed to hate Hunter Biden, right? I'm supposed to not like this guy. I can feel that programming in my, even with me not wanting to be programmed, I can feel like, why are you talking to him? He's part of the Biden crime family, all this stuff. So it leads to a deeper question is like, how many psyops have been running at the same time? You know that, I think it was during the 2021 or 22, the Biden administration, the executive branch sent out a memo to all executive branch offices asking them to send back what psyops they were running because no one knew which ones were real and which weren't.
Who did that? Who sent out that email?
It was a memo from the Biden administration. They were running so many psyops inside psyops, they no one could figure out what was real. Yeah, I covered that years ago. Like they were confused, like because every branch runs its own narrative, right?
Yeah.
And then some of them are, and we've become so bloated and top heavy. Like, and by the way, thanks for sending the catering truck to pick me up today. It was a good diversion. Hollywood Boulevard's not as safe as it used to be. Did you see where Trump had to take the catering truck out?
Oh yeah, and then he's golfing next to like giant weapons vehicles. Have you seen this? It's crazy. Yeah, I mean,
what is that even for? Like.
What was that going to stop? What will the giant missile truck stop? It's crazy to me.
I mean, we're just supposed to soak all this stuff, and it's all running at once. So it's hard to discern what's real, like what's an actual threat. Is this for effect? So I mean, again, like we're being played and primed for something. Like we were talking off air,
dude, something. And it's so funny. You talk about like psyops and psyops. It's kind of like when you hear like the FBI arrests the ATF. And because they're both running both sides of this thing.
It's like the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah. That's a great point, dude. I would love to see that email. Everyone's like, all the psyops. They're like, and then you just connect people who are running psyops against each other. That's
like probably in the halls of government. That's probably a good dating site idea, like psyops only or something. Like, if you're in a psyop and you want to connect with other people in psyops,
and it's like, how deep is the psyop? Like, what is real? And like, to me, is like nothing. Our culture is so obviously manufactured.
That's the trap, though. And it's like, if it's so much, like, I go on air now and I just see, like, in the comment sections and like, that guy's a shill. That guy's a shill. This isn't real. And I'm like, have we just created nihilism? Like, where nothing is real and nothing matters. I'm like, guys, things matter. I mean, the whole point of why they run psyops is to get you to do a certain thing. If they didn't care, if you were already, like, if this was a foregone conclusion, then they wouldn't give a shit.
That's a great point. And in particular, when it comes to elections, it's like, if elections are real, and I'm saying, like, I've really given up on them, and maybe that's just black-pilled at that point, but why do they spend so much money on these elections? And I think it's not the election that matters, but your participation in the election. Right. That's the most important thing, because it keeps you in the duality of right versus left.
Yeah, it's like the illusion of choice. Like, you can have Trump or you can have Biden. You can win or you can lose. But what if you lose both? I mean, I think there's a reason why they keep third parties out of the debates. Like, you have to hit a certain threshold. Because a narrative, like a question asked in front of the American people, would change everything. Like, they stopped doing that after Perot, if you noticed.
Yeah, it's the reason they elbowed our boy Spencer Pratt out of the mayoral election, because they didn't want those questions being asked of Karen Bass from now until the runoff.
I think it's the reason that Donald Trump entered the 2000 election, because Pat Buchanan had the nomination of the Reform Party. That was what the remnants of what... Yeah. Ross Perot set up, and Buchanan was loaded for bear, ready to go. All he wanted was to make the threshold to enter the debate. He knew he couldn't win. He just wanted to take down the major candidates and show them how corrupt, how stupid they were, or just how ill-informed, or the inability to truly answer questions. And Pat had that, and Trump showed up and just destroyed every organizational part of what the Reform Party was, and then just left. Like, he called Buchanan a Hitler lover because he wrote a book called A Republic, Not an Empire that year. And it was just about America First foreign policy, how we could have avoided World War II. And that was, for Trump didn't read it, obviously, but he just came out and said.
Yeah, they gave him talking points.
And he took down Buchanan and then just left it in shambles. And there was no, real chance of him making the debates, which is all that he wanted. If we had some sort of cohesive movement, and then you could reach a platform, which I think now that the mainstream media is disintegrating before our eyes, I think that's why they're trying to capture this space. I think it's really important for them to capture alternative media. So how would you do that? Well, you make it look really stupid. Like you're Sir Francis Bacon. Like I bring this up because
dude, you are spot on with that, and I do believe that is that guy's purpose.
Yeah,
and I don't want to get into it right now because I don't know when I'm at. But I've heard stuff about him before the content creating that people really knew about it. They'd be like, "Oh, really?" And it's like, it's very interesting. I know people want me to say it right now, but I'm holding it right now. But when you look at the guy who has, I don't know how many followers you have on Instagram. I don't know how much Instagram is a big part of what you do, right? I have almost 200,000, right? Yeah. This is from a guy that got lost his Instagram for a while, and I had to pay $3,000 to get it back, But you look at this guy; he's got it's either almost 600,000 or 700,000. Right. That's unheard of.
Well, then you've got these new TikTok people. It's like they just discovered stuff, but then they take what's real. And David Knight has brought this up many times. If you want to destroy the truth is like a loaf of bread, right? It's beautiful, it's wholesome, and then if you put a roach in there and then tie the bag and throw it to somebody, nobody wants the the loaf of bread, right? And I think I don't know, I can't speak for a lot of the new content creators. I'm sure some of them mean well, but if you take stuff that is not verified and you run with it because you get clicks, you take something, like I was reading the other day, I was rereading a book from the 90s from Jim Marrs, Rule by Secrecy, about secret societies. So well researched. I mean, it's like my friend Donald Jeffries wrote Hidden History. You've had him on.
I love
Don. He's one of the old school guys. It's verifiable. At least his sources, he's citing stuff, which is the way that we used to do it. And now it's just you take stuff that decades and decades of people doing hard work and like Anthony Sutton, the Wall Street and the Bolsheviks, and the rise of Hitler and Wall Street, none dare call it conspiracy with Gary Allen. Nobody does that anymore. Well, some people do, but it's not popular.
But the real thing is reach. Like everyone's all excited that Hollywood's disintegrating. And I get that because they just put out dog shit, right? And it's like you're not operating in a business mode. You're operating in a propaganda mode. And you're only upset right now not because the money you're losing, but because the reach is going. Nobody watched one battle after another. It lost gazillion dollars. They don't care about that because they're just spending Fed funny money. It's just press a button and you clean up all the red. They don't care about that. They can't reach you anymore. They've done this narrative so much that everyone's over it. It takes something like The Odyssey, which, Johnny told me it was great. I went and saw it. I liked it. Okay. I get that there's some shit in there that maybe people listen to this don't like, but it was a good movie. I enjoyed the movie. It was 2.5 hours. I enjoyed watching it, but the other stuff is just such dog shit. No one's going to spend.
Spider-Man?
What?
The Spider-Man, everyone keeps talking. That one's great as a Marvel one.
It's good.
It's good.
Yeah, I want to go see it.
Yeah,
that's what it takes, like something like that or a Godzilla movie to get me to the movie theater, right? It's like, because I know a Godzilla movie's going to be great. Even a shitty Godzilla movie is fucking fire, right? But they've just burnt it. There's no reach anymore. And even like, I fly all the time. They'll give you free movies to watch. I watch movies. I'm like, that's a great movie. Why didn't do well? Because they have no clue how to market it anymore. Their brand is so dead. It takes almost like a known brand to get people to spend the $50 or whatever it takes to go watch a movie when it's meant to be only $10. It's like crazy to me. But so Hollywood's dying. Guess what's taking its place? These platforms.
Right.
And the platforms are even worse than Hollywood because they're using AI. So it's like it's not going to be whether you put out good content or not. It's whether this AI sees you as approved. So, Johnny, I was going to talk about this on Broken Sim, but I'll talk about it here briefly. So I'm in a situation on Instagram where they won't allow me to pin certain videos. I'll have a video that might go to 1 million. It won't let me pin it. And I go there and you can see this thing where it's like the AI will break down your video, like what the content of it. So one day I'm like, I'll see what the video says about this. I have a pronoun bit. My pronouns are real M word, right?
Right.
Just exploded on the internet. People losing their fucking skulls. I go to the AI to see the description of it. It literally says racist bit by a guy on a super edgy comedy tour, which is hilarious because one, it's a throw up bit. Two, there's no black people harmed in that bit. And I've been doing the same thing. A racist tour? For 32 years? I've been on a fucking
t-shirt.
Super edgy tour. You know what, Johnny? I should put that on a fucking t-shirt.
That would be awesome.
Just click it and put it right on the shirt. Hey guys, listen. As men get older, you start to lose your hair. And listen, you don't have to lose that battle. That's right. That's why I want you to hear about our good friends at Hims. Listen, you ever catch yourself in the mirror and doing that mental math on your hairline? Yeah, most guys know that moment. Hims makes it simple to actually do something about it.
Hims offers convenient access to a range of prescription hair loss treatments with ingredients that work, including chews, oral medications, serums, and sprays. They use doctor-trusted ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can prevent further hair loss and regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hims brings expert care straight to you with 100% online online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Find the right hair regrowth treatment for you with flexible subscription options, access to 24/7 provider support, and once-a-day treatment options that fit your daily routine. It's straightforward, transparent, and designed to make getting care feel easy.
For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/tinfoilhat. That's hims.com/tinfoilhat for your free online visit. That's hims.com/tinfoilhat.
Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Individual results may vary. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information.
And we thank them for sponsoring the show. Hey guys, if you either start a business or you have a business, you understand that getting everyone moving together is one of the hardest things ever, okay? And it's important to communicate so everyone communicates in one place. And that's why I want to tell you about our good friends at Quo. You didn't lose that client because of bad luck. You lost them because nobody picked up. They called, it rang out, and 30 seconds later, they were talking to your competitor. Every unanswered call is money walking right out the door. At some point, you gotta stop leaving money on the table and say, let's fucking Quo. Today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo. The business phone system built so you never miss a call.
All your calls, texts, and voicemails live in one place with Quo, so anyone on your team can pick up a conversation, see the full history, and respond quickly. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by over 90,000 businesses who rely on it to stay reachable and look professional every day. You can set it up in minutes on any device, keep your existing number, and add teammates as you grow. No IT, no hassle. Quo's built-in AI agent handles after-hours calls, answers questions, and even books appointments, so you never miss a lead, even when your team is offline. Quo also integrates with the tools your team already has, like HubSpot, Zapier, Claude, and more, helping you save time, stay organized, and spend less time chasing info between systems.
Money is on the line. Always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/tinfoil. That's quo.com/tinfoil. Get your shit together, man. Help your business thrive with our good friends at Quo. We thank them for sponsoring our show. So this AI now has decided that this video isn't allowed to be pinned. But it will allow black comics to say the M-word, not even in like, hey, my buddy or something, but literally about calling black people that they have a problem with the M-word. So that's where now this is a new phase, where these platforms decide who's famous and who's not famous. Yes. And what they really want is stupid to reign.
Exactly.
And these guys think they're doing something. They think because they have a bazillion followers.
The governor is off. They're just full throttled.
Yeah.
And then if you're actually digging deep, of course, I think a lot of times too, maybe I'm a little cynical, but I think the truth has a greater supply than demand sometimes, because it can be kind of ugly. I mean, if you really dig into the minutia, like of what is true, like what is truth, and I try to do that with my business, my life.
What is truth?
Right. That's what Pontius Pilate asked Jesus. Like what is truth? I think that a lot of these things get a free pass because they take something that is harmful to the ruling class and then make it a caricature. They make it a funhouse mirror version because they put that roach in the loaf of bread. That's what I think. And I get they're coming for this space because like this was, this is where truth goes. I mean, it goes because you're free thinking. And if I know you personally, I know a lot of people in this space, like people like Charlie Robinson, like that's his whole life, and he's like dedicated to the truth and finding out what really happened, what is history, and they take that a beautiful thing that was built and they're morphing it into something else. If we let them do it, because it's going to come with the stuff that's ridiculous, and I find it's ruining what researchers have done for decade upon decade, hard work and being ostracized. I mean, you imagine look at Tucker. Let me go back to Tucker Carlson. He's able to have some real, stuff that if you'd have said 5 years ago, this is what Tucker's going to be talking about, I'd been like, Is he okay? Did he have a stroke? I mean, what happened? You know, but I find it interesting. I want him to do that because look, you know, the perfect is the enemy of the good. There is no one arbiter. It's one of my favorite movies, 13 Days, about the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Love it.
Wasn't that a great movie?
Absolutely. I used to watch it over and over again.
I'll tell you a story about that movie here in a second, but I want to finish my thought. You know, they have this scene where Ken O'Donnell's and Robert F. Kennedy and JFK are in the Oval Office, and they're fighting the Joint Chiefs, and everybody, they all want to hit, airstrikes followed by invasion. You know, they don't want a deal. And they're like, hey, there is no wise old man. There's just us. Like, they're looking around like, nobody's coming to save us. We're in charge, and there is nobody to go ask. You know, and I think that falls on us right now, those of us who really care about the next generation or what happens. Like, we really care. And I think that, you know, it's irresponsible if you haven't dug deep enough, if it's in your soul that you know this isn't right, you shouldn't publish it. Some people are maybe stupid enough to think that it's real. I don't know. But we have to also call people out. And we have to police ourselves. But there is no one person that's going to show up. I mean, I hope that lesson's been learned with Donald Trump. I hope people understand now. There is no white knight. There is not. It's just us. We look in the mirror, and then you'll find who's going to come save you. It's just you.
That reminds me of, is it called Leave the World Behind, Johnny? Is that the Netflix movie?
I believe so, right? Yeah, the one with the Obamas produced.
Yeah, and, you know, it's the Obamas. You can say whatever you want. And, you know, I watched it, and it was okay. But, man, there was this moment in the movie, I've said this a bunch of times, where Julia Roberts is talking to the guy that was going to play Blade. Do you remember what the actor's name is, Johnny?
Oh, no. Hold on.
The black actor?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Well, he's looking at, I'll tell you that story about the 13 Days. When I got out of the military, it's like 2004. I got my last tour. I got back from Iraq. I bought a house in North Texas. It was like built in the 1880s, and it's in this town called Bonham. And I watched that movie. I stayed up late, watched the movie, just drinking a little bourbon. You know, I think I was like 25, and I just stayed up late. I love history, so I stayed up late. And the next day, I go take a walk to the downtown. It's all historic, you know. This has been there since the 1860s, you know. So it's a really beautiful town in North Texas. And I'm walking towards the downtown, and a newspaper is flowing down the street, just like, you know, like a tumbleweed. And it hits my boot, and I notice it's a little aged, so I pick it up. And it was a newspaper article, front page from the Dallas Times-Herald about the blockade.
That's crazy.
So it was a newspaper floating around in Texas in 2005 about what was happening in 1961.
Whoa, that's crazy.
That's wild. What are the odds of that?
That is crazy.
And I saved it. It's somewhere in my archive. I just remember, I go, this is so weird. You know, my life has been like that a lot. Like, I think maybe subconsciously I pick up on stuff or whatever. Synchronicities. It's happened to me a lot.
Mahershala Ali, by the way, Sam.
Yeah, so in that movie, going back to what you said, is he has a moment where he's talking about how he had this billionaire friend and they're really close. And then one day he calls him and he's spooked. And he basically tells, you know, and the whole thing is that he told him that, you know, everyone wants to know who runs the world. And the answer is nobody.
Right.
And like there's no one at the wheel. And that kind of remind me of what you said right there.
I'm starting to really think that. I think, you know, I sat down for almost 3 hours with David Icke back in March. I flew over to England. I'm friends with Gareth Icke, and he gave me an invite the previous year, and I finally made it happen. It was so interesting. I've been following David Icke for years and years, and he talks about the pyramid and the cult. And I do believe, like philosophically, that's where you get, you know, the downflow of things like the Illuminati, like what they believe, like the secret societies and other things. But then you have to wonder, like, humans are just subject to change like anything else, and there's entropy. So, like, each generation becomes like a copy of a copy. I don't think they get stronger or smarter. Whoever the 300 families are or whatever you want to get into, I think there's some real disintegration and some entropy. And even the money that they've hoarded and all the things that the generational wealth, which is, like we think Elon Musk, or I think the people think Elon Musk is the world's richest man. Not even close, man.
Not even close, dude.
I mean, it's like the generational hundreds of trillions and markets that they control. But I think there's a breakdown. I don't know that maybe it's gotten away from them. Maybe the information age or whatever. Just mass consciousness in general, or maybe the further they get down the timeline, they realize that. And it's funny. There is no atheist movement anymore. Have you noticed that? I used to watch like Christopher Hitchens and those guys go at it, and I was never an atheist, obviously, but I always find their arguments against religions fascinating and stuff. And I liked Christopher Hitchens' mind.
Me too.
Yeah. He was very smart. And but now you fast forward all these years, and nobody talks about that anymore because things are so weird that you cannot ascribe it to anything other than there's a metaphysical presence in our existence. In this dimension, we're getting, and maybe, it's funny, I read a book, Stephen King, which I'm not a fan of, but he wrote a book called The Stand back in the 80s, and I listened to it on Audible back in 2020 during the scamdemic. And it's about like a lab leak of a virus that gets out. It's called Captain Trips because they tripped over something. So apparently, and it's like killing off humanity. And the Antichrist figure in that book's named Randall Flagg. And they call him the walking man. He wears cowboy boots and he's out in the desert, right? He just kind of goes from place to place and messes things up, like that's what he does. But in that time when humanity's being like culled off, he gets his powers back. Like he can levitate. So like the closer he gets to the culmination or the end or end days or whatever, like there's an unveiling for him too. Like, and it's maybe for everybody. Like the closer we get to some sort of awakening or whatever it is, like there's more magic. There's something to that, Sam. So
you bring up some really great points. First of all, what I find very interesting is that Hollywood, in a weird way, the internet has taken over the atheist movement, and a lot of these atheists are very pro-Israel, which is a very weird thing to me. How you could not believe in God but believe God gave the rights to to this religious group, and it's the mental gymnastics on that is very interesting. I wish I had Bill Maher in the OR at the Comedy Store. I called him retarded on stage in front of the hookers he was with. But I wish I would have asked him that from stage. Bill, can I ask you a question? How can you be Zionist and also believe that land is owed to people because God promised to them?
Yeah. At this stage, don't you just like cancel out just about everything that you are if you're just unapologetically Zionist in a way? Like if you look at what's happened,
it's AIDS of your content. It's literally going to kill you. Yeah, even though I don't believe in AIDS, but it's the death of it. And we just see people because there's so much money in it, and like the Candace Owens. People will listen maybe this years after, and they'll know how the actual debate went. We don't know how it's going to go. I have a feeling it's just going to be Andrew versus Stu Peterson, and Andrew isn't going to believe any of the evidence that she presents, and we're just going to get the same thing over and over again, higher profile, But I think Andrew will come out of that, even if, let's say, he gets his ass handed to him. He'll come out of that maybe with a damaged brand, meaning that his fans will be like, dude, what the fuck?
What's the upside?
But I'll tell you what the upside is. He will have more reach than he'll ever have. The controllers of the levers.
But to what?
That's why he wanted to go on Rogan's. That's why he wanted the moderator to be Rogan's, because he knew it'd be a bigger reach.
Yeah, but it's you mentioned.
But the question is a bigger reach to what? Reach, meaning.
I mean, he's got a bigger, but
it's going to be even bigger. Like, look, a great example. Sorry to cut you off, but Ben Shapiro. His numbers are just plummeting.
He's got a big reach.
But he's everywhere. He's everywhere all the time.
He took over for Michael Savage, Like, that's how something happened in America. I don't know. Like, Michael Savage, regardless of what you think, was a great broadcaster. Is a great broadcaster. I learned a lot from him. And he had a certain style, and he was magnetic. And then they replaced him, his radio syndication, with Ben Shapiro. And so, like, he just tanked it, And so that my question is kind of like, was it Ed Gallran, the guy that beat Thomas Massey, right? Okay. And I remember you talking about it, like, why is Thomas Massey smiling? And I thought about it, and I thought, well, he's got to be relieved. I mean, first of all, like, you're a martyr now. They had to spend more than anybody's ever spent to get this guy, like this trained SEAL, and I meant like a circus SEAL because he was a Navy SEAL, whatever, And but they got this guy to replace you with no substance, and you're able to do that, I think, still with enough money. Like, you can sway a primary, because if you really, I could break down the numbers to you. It's really not that hard to turn a Republican primary, because you're talking about 50,000 people vote to represent 800,000, and if you just get 25, I mean, they can do it.
Right, I got
so
you.
it's possible to do it, but for what ends? Because now you've completely exposed yourself as
control.
You're putting your thumb on the scale. You're manipulating, and people aren't buying it. So maybe you get a bigger reach, but at the end of the day, to what? That's what I meant. Like, you can technically be on every platform and never get flagged and never get banned, and maybe they'll promote all your shit. But at the end of the day, we've reached a bifurcation point where in 5 years, like, the complete death rattle of all of that, whatever structure it was under the right wing for conservative talk and everything, all that commentary, they'll all be, it'll be a wasteland, Sam. Like, it is moving away. Like, you can just, even the hardcore people, and there's demographics too, where the demographics have died off or they're getting older. But people that are newer people, there's no way.
It's done.
It's done. Like, you cannot get those times back. And like, I remember, like what I said earlier, where if you were a new commentator in conservative media and you were right wing and you believed in pro-life and you wanted the Second Amendment, yeah, okay, people like you were going to fly you to Israel and do all this stuff, and you have to make sure that you're always supporting this.
You have to go to the glory hole.
Yes, that is coming to a conclusion, because it wasn't ever discussed. I mean, even the term, it's been bastardized now, but like 14 years ago when I ran for office, like, I used the term America First because I was speaking of, like, Charles Lindbergh and John F. Kennedy and before the Second World War. I was using that terminology, some Pat Buchanan stuff, but it was verboten. I already knew, like, it was dynamite in that statement. Like, you were going to get called a lot of things, for even using it.
That's crazy.
But now nobody says anything about it because it's been made inert. They took something that was genuinely brilliant, and so America First now is us fighting Israel's war in Iran for no damn reason.
I agree. And I think that there's an acceleration going on because they are reading the data and they are losing it. And that
like the merging of our military.
Yeah.
Like that, like the push for that, and to make it open. And you see what was that? It was the congressman from Florida who showed, like, he was like really giddy about putting it forward, like, it's just, you can tell what kind of person that is.
Yes. Like,
you can just feel his energy through the video. Like, oh, there's something up with this guy. It's not the future. I like trends. Like, I read history because I think the further you look back in the past, the further you see in the future. And I just see, like, there's a completely different land. And I know that's the challenge right now, is for us to be able to discernment. What is real? Again, sticking to our principles and things that I know that you do and others in this space do. We have to stay true to ourselves, because it's going to get weirder. And that's because they're trying to capture this space and other spaces because they've screwed up. Like, they've literally just made themselves
trying to
irrelevant.
buy their way into it.
Yes.
So I want to. There's so much to break down what you said. I just really want to get into it, and it's like our good friend Tino Sanchez. He has this theory that maybe the internet didn't get away from them, and that it's actually doing what they wanted. And there is an argument for that. But there's also the idea of creating something, it succeeding, and then it just getting away from you. And a great example of that is my show, Comedy Chaos, right? So I created this show at the Comedy Store. It was the biggest show at the store for 8 years, and it was the show. And then this other kid comes in, and he starts doing exactly what I did, but he starts paying way more. And he actually fucks up the market. And now he's the big show.
He's paying more because tickets are pricier.
Right.
Yeah, it's not because, it's not.
But he bought his way in, right? But now I'm on the out at the Comedy Store. Frankenstein has killed Dr. Frankenstein. Right?
Right.
What if that's the internet? I mean, because we could plan a birthday party for Tony or your dog. We're going to plan a birthday party for your dog. What's your dog's name again?
Beans.
We're going to plan this awesome party for Beans. And we have the plans written out. This is what we want to do. And then day of, good luck for it going exactly the way we planned. The wheels come off constantly. You know what I'm saying? Too many people show up because they love Bean. There's not enough food. There's a fights going on. One dude's banging another dude's wife, and now everyone's fighting. And we can't even remember that we're here for Bean, but nobody gives a fuck because there's two dudes swinging, and the dog's birthday cake goes all over the place because they fell into it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, good luck. Try controlling your company. How many employees do you have? You know, it's like this guy's doing this. I'm going through a World War debate. Everyone working on it's great, but this guy's going this way, that guy's going, and we want to go here, but everyone's working on stuff there, and they all have awesome intentions, and I'm blessed that they work on it. And this is not negative to anybody I'm working with, and if they hear it, just know that. But it's like you have a plan. Good luck for it being executed the way you want it to, and that is, I think, the world. Now imagine taking it from running a birthday party to running planet Earth.
Yeah.
And you talk about as it trickles to the next generation, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. Now just imagine as you go from top down. Now you got these guys in Switzerland who making all these decisions. Oh, it didn't work in Rwanda. Why? Because Rwanda is so fucking far from Switzerland, right? They can't micromanage every fucking moment of that. Yeah. I mean, they are trying to control the internet, and they could do it to a point, you know, because they could shadow ban us and not let us be seen. But like you said, the truth is very powerful.
Yeah, and they can punish you, and they can use. I think one of the things that I try to fight against, that's my mission, I believe, is to educate people, at least in the shortest amount of time, to explain what fiat currency is. Like what I call them Luciferian bankster notes, because the dangers of that, like when you have free access and there's nobody challenging you to the printing press, right? And you just create new currency units. I mean, not even mentioning the damage that it does to society, but you can create people and entities that never would have existed in a free market. Like people wouldn't have paid for it, but you can make famous people famous, right? You can take new people, make them famous because you funded it, because it still holds weight. Like, but you're doing something outside. It's not organic.
Yes.
I think that's what you're saying. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like,
but it's also that like we have a plan. We're doing this dog's party.
Right.
As it gets executed down, you know, it's like the game of telephone. We start off with like, hey, we're starting a dog party. By it gets through 30 people, it's a black guy stabs somebody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that's the famous story, right? It's just people's personal trauma, their opinions, their personalities muck up the plan. So it's like when they talk, at least the presentation of the internet of the internet was maybe there'll be 7 sites. That was their whole thing. Yeah. And I don't know if they believe that, but that's how it was presented. And now there's a bazillion sites. And because everyone stepped into it. And maybe it is getting away from them. Because once you take the Zionist approach, right, your brand goes instantly to shit. Instantly to shit. And they cannot buy their way into it. They're trying. I mean, we can just look at like the Lakers, right? The Lakers today sold for $12 billion.
It's crazy.
It was just sold for $10 billion. And something happened with the owner of the Dodgers, who owned the Lakers, went to the White House. Something happened there, and he just turned around and sold them for $2 billion more after 1 year. Guys, listen, we're getting busier and busier and busier, and it's harder and harder to just create really good meals for our family. And that's why I want to tell you about the #1 home food kit, our good friends at Home Chef. Let me tell you about Home Chef. I'm not organized enough to be a meal prep person, but with Home Chef, my meals are on point every time. The meals are widely impressive and so easy to make. I count on Home Chef weekly delivery to stock my fridge and take care of my meal planning. I'm not only saving time, but I also reduce dishes and cleanup.
Home Chef makes cooking simple. Fresh food delivered, easy recipes to follow, and meals that actually taste great. No long shopping lists, no complicated prep, and best of all, easy cleanup. I love easy cleanup.
Yeah, I love easy cleanup.
My number one priority. It's perfect for busy lunches, whether you need a 30-minute meal, an oven-ready tray, or even a quick microwave lunch. Home Chef has you covered, and people really love it. Home Chef is rated #1 by users of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. Customers say they spend less time planning, shopping, and prepping meals. Plus, it's affordable. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. Home Chef takes the stress out of your week with convenient weekly deliveries to keep your fridge stocked and eliminate meal planning and grocery runs, making it easy to eat well, save time, and enjoy quick and delicious meals even on your busiest days.
So here, for a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 50% off and free shipping for your first box, plus free desserts for life. That means life, okay? Go to homechef.com/tinfoil. That's homechef.com/tinfoil for 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. That's homechef.com/tinfoil. Must be an active subscriber to receive free desserts. And we thank them for sponsoring the show. All right, guys, real quick, if you go to samtripoli.com, go to events. I'm in Joke World tonight at the Comedy Festival. Then September 12th is World War Debate. I'll get a little bit more into that. Lawerence, Kansas, Tulsa. Then we're going to be in TrutherCon in Dallas. Then we're going to be at Skankfest in New Orleans and closing out in Austin. And we may be adding 1 or 2 more dates. Might be back in Cleveland and then Wichita as well. But the big announcement is World War Debate. Our debates are set. We're going to be in Nashville November 12th. We got Adam Mockler versus CJ Pearson on election integrity. Then we have debating God. It's going to be Jay Dyer versus Stephen Molyneux, and he's crushing it. And then the one I'm most excited about is Aliens versus Angels and Demons. We have James Williams versus Dr. Heather Lynn. Fireworks. And then, of course, the big thing is also the Contender Series is live. Brand new show. It's doing well. 32 contestants are going at it. You can watch all their debates here. We're into the round of 16, so your voting is very important. Just go to youtube.com/@. Don't forget the @ symbol, World War Debate, and you can watch the debates and vote and all that stuff. So, yeah, let's get back to the show.
You notice, too, that wealth isn't what it used to be? Like the so-called privilege of wealth. If you notice, it doesn't really move the needle all that much like it used to. I mean, it used to be like a thing, like Daddy Warbucks, like that was based on Paul Warburg, like the character who was one of the first head of the Federal Reserve in the United States. By the way, his brother was Max Warburg, head of the central bank in Germany at the time of World War I. I mean, all that stuff, right? So it's based off a real person. And if you watch the Little Orphan Annie, Annie movie from the 80s, Paul Finney, I think, plays the Daddy Warbucks, but he's like on the phone with President Roosevelt telling him what to do. It's like people back then knew that, and there was a privilege to wealth, or at least built into the narrative. Like, America, you can still climb all the way up the ladder, and if you amass this wealth, then you'll have a say-so. I don't know, do they? I mean, obviously trillionaires do, and those who control the system itself. It's not enough anymore just to have money. You actually have to control the system. And that's what I think is the problem. And maybe the system itself is unsavable.
Well, that's kind of where I think we're at right now, where it's like we had this idealistic system, and then it was applied to reality, and it's somewhat out of control right now.
Well, think about this. I mean, just talk about money just for a second. In 1980, we had interest rates in the teens. So if you wanted to buy a home, your interest rate was like 17%. And the reason is because we went off the gold standard in 71. Gold was $35 an ounce. By 1980, I was born in the end of 79, gold was $800 an ounce. So it went from 35 to 800. Now, gold didn't go up in value. That's how much purchasing power the dollar lost in 10 years. And so they had the new head of the Federal Reserve under Jimmy Carter was Paul Volcker. And what he did was, in order to get the dollar to stop hemorrhaging, you raise interest rates. So you need to contract the money supply because there'll be less dollars in circulation if there's a higher interest rate. That's just at a basic level. That's how you curtail inflation, create a quote unquote stronger dollar. Same thing with silver. Silver is $52 in 1980. Well, they were able to crush both gold and silver because they contracted the money supply with interest rates in the teens. You can't do that now because the debt is 40 trillion. In 1980, it was almost $1 trillion. So it took us from 1776 to 1980 to go $1 trillion in debt. Now we go $1 trillion in debt every 90 days. So you cannot contract the money supply. You cannot stop runaway inflation at this point. So it's not even about ideological arguments or anything like that. This is mathematics. Math just kicks in. So they're at a point where you can't save the current system in its form. That's why they floated all these ideas and they have these agendas like Agenda 2030 and these timelines or the Great Reset. Like these are all things kind of giving advance warning to every system that there will be a reset. Right, but the average person's walking around out there with normalcy bias because that's what we grew up with, and maybe tomorrow will be like today because it's a lot like yesterday, except it's not. But those at the top know that, and I think at some level you see these like billionaires building bunkers. And I was reading an article about the tech guy in Argentina that's got a massive ranch, and other tech people are building stuff there, and they're going to wait out the apocalypse or Armageddon or whatever it is because they have to be running the simulations too. I mean, the system as it is right now, the center will not hold. Right, so that's what I study, and I think that maybe what you're talking about, maybe no one's in charge. It's gotten away from them.
I think it's gotten away from them. I mean, it's a very black pill to be like, this is everything they want. I'm like, I know the whole thing is that they want the world to hate Israel because that's the prophecy and stuff like that. Maybe, but it just seems like they bought off more than they can chew. Which is something.
That's funny. You said bought off more than that. That
bit off
perfectly
that's
too.
a good Freudian slip too.
So, the big thing when I talk about Wise Wolf Gold and Silver is it's why it's so great to get into precious metals because it stabilizes your money. Every day they print more money, your money's worth less money. And even if you buy it at a certain number and it goes down, it's still worth more than your ones and zeros in your bank account.
I mean, think about this, Sam. So when I was born, silver was $52, right? Because of the Hunt family. We've talked about this on the show
I
before.
love that, man.
That was a deep state operation. Like they were showing something to the world, not just the American people. There's something wrong with the dollar. They were showing that through buying physical silver.
Didn't we talk about this last time that there was this notion that they were trying to get ready to have Texas secede?
Oh, the Hunts were right wing. Yeah. There was a lot of underpinnings of that. And then, Oliver Stone made that movie, Nixon, and he has Larry Hagman, who was the JR on Dallas, play this guy called Jack. He's supposed to be the Hunts. Yeah, when I was a young man, I sold a piece of property to the Hunt family. And I went in, I was like 25. I didn't know who they were. I was like 25, 26, and I was a broker. And I went in, they had this office with nobody in it. It was like one person, and they had their own title company. So they didn't even show up to the closing. They just hand you a pin. Like there was nobody in there. I thought that was really, they're old school, even with being taken out, like they were really raked over the coals by the powers that be because they touched something you weren't supposed to touch. Don't expose the weakness in the dollar, and so silver was $52 in 1980. It took 45 years for it to break that all-time high. And it did last year, and then it went to $120 an ounce. So people say, well, silver's fallen. I'm like, yeah, there's a whole host of reasons why, but if you'll just hold, like kind of like on Braveheart, hold, like do not sell. I mean, people, that's a lot how I make a living is people sell me stuff, and I appreciate it, and I give them a safe way to do that and a trustable way to do that. So I'm not against it. But if you're looking for savings, like don't follow the markets per se. Just understand mathematics. Every time they go to the printer, which they're gonna do, and now they've got no choice left. It's like the new head of the Federal Reserve, Warsh. Like he's like, I'm hawkish. We're gonna keep the rates where they are. We're gonna raise rates. You cannot do that in this current system. You have to reset and when they do that, they'll have to revalue all commodities. So if you're holding, by the way, it's not investment advice. I don't do investments. I'm just talking about currency or money. If you hold gold, physical silver, or even Bitcoin, you're going to do well in the next 5 to 10 years and in way beyond that, because the system itself is built to go to zero. Okay. And then it's going to be digital. They're going to redo the whole thing.
Where does precious metals fall in the whole digital thing?
Right now, they're building systems. It's interesting you bring that up because, was it Tether?
Yeah.
Tether now buys gold like a central bank. And you think, okay, well, here's this stable coin that's tethered to the dollar, and they make money, I guess, off transactional fees. So if you want to use dollars digitally, cross-border payment systems, you use like things like Tether. But they're building their portfolio with gold and I think some Bitcoin and other things, but they're mainly a central bank unto themselves. So all the central banks in the world too, Sam, that's what's key. The gold price, right? They don't even pay attention to it because they're buying to reevaluate everything. And it's funny, the metric, you'll never see this like on CNBC, but like gold, about a year and a half ago, it surpassed like number 2 in holdings of central banks. Now it's number 1. Like the euro fell, like from the euro used to be like number 2 of holdings from central banks. They stopped holding currencies, and all these central banks around the world started just to buy gold, physical gold. And that's the new system. It's not a new currency. It's blockchain. So to answer your question, they'll use contracts verified by blockchain of physical gold to run the new economic world order. That's what it'll be. Look at Hong Kong. Hong Kong has massive facilities now outside of the airport, and they are holding storage facilities for physical gold and silver bullion. And the reason they have that is they want the gold to go eastward, and they want it in places in China and areas controlled by China. That is where new business will take place. I mean, even Chase moved their, or JP Morgan moved their operations. They're moving eastward for the precious metals because the world's going to trade in gold through the blockchain system. And I'm not a supporter of that in every sense.
It's just the reality.
It's just the reality. To me, even that is counterparty risk, and not average person. You can't always keep all your gold at home. Sometimes you have to trust a third party, like a storage facility or something like that.
I get nervous about that. Like I want to buy whole chunks of gold, but I'm like, if I put it in there and shit's the fan, am I guaranteed to get it out?
There's just a few people that I know or entities that I absolutely trust. I mean, you go to places like another gold dealer like Andy Sheckman. I trust him. He's out of Florida. He's got a gold storage operation. I would trust somebody like him. My people that use the IRAs and stuff, we go through a company called IDS, and I trust them because I do business with the trading floor in Dallas, and IDS is part of it's next door. So if you want to move it, it goes right to the trading floor, and these are massive facilities. So, I mean, as far as trust is concerned, it's way better than the bank, which is controlled. I mean, the banking system, which I think is on the chopping block, unfortunately, if they want to get rid of real freedom and commerce, like you have to have these giant behemoth, too big to fail and jail banks buy up the troubled assets that are going to happen because they're going to pull the rug out from everybody. You saw that in the FTX deal and, Sam Bankman-Fried, when that whole thing fell apart and they had this just a small quake in the system, and you can see they closed down a few banks and then covered it up. But there's a systemic risk, especially with what Trump has done with the Strait of Hormuz and energy flow. I read the other day, we were, for the first time since the Cold War, we were 40 days from a strategic meltdown of the oil reserves and the strategic reserve.
He's a chaos magician. He's a straight up, and he's a sorcerer of all the disciplines. It's like that guy that got black belt in 10 different disciplines. That's Donald Trump's sorcery. It's Freemason, Jesuit, Kabbalah. I mean, he is a chaos man. He's here to bring chaos.
Hasn't Abramovich said that about him?
Yeah, he's I mean, like and some of the chaos is good. I mean, like we know whatever you want to say about him, we know more about the inner workings than we've ever known.
Yeah, we certainly do.
And some is bad too.
It's a mixed bag because he exposed a lot, and it's funny. It's like there's people in the power structure that still hate him. I'm like, he's doing everything you wanted. Like during 2020, that's what I got in trouble with. I lost so many listeners during that time because I'm like, well, isn't he doing what they want him to do? Like the entire lockdown and the transfer, like the unprecedented transfer of wealth. What was it from like 2020, Sam, to 2023? 80% of all the dollars were created ever in that time. So if you like look at the money
I don't even know what that number is now. I mean, it's huge.
It was the stimulus checks, right?
Well, not just that.
Not even that, the printing.
No, it was the off the book stuff. So like leading up into the last quarter of 2019, that's what really shook me. I was covering this, and not a lot of people were paying attention. They injected $6 trillion of new capital into these markets called repos, which is the overnights to clear checks and clear items through the banking system because they were so weak. So we created all this new currency. And at the same time, that was the largest exodus and retirement of CEOs in history, right leading up to 2020. And everything.
Because they knew something was coming, right?
Yes. Because big business, as you know, big business and intelligence, hand in glove. It's the same stuff. Yeah. Right?
I believe the
revolving door.
They're the security for the big banks. Yes. Like the CIA, the FBI, their job is to protect the elites.
Right.
Not to be law enforcement. To protect the elites.
Yeah, that mission is not what the stated goals of these agencies is not what they actually do, or at least what their public persona is. It's behind the scenes. It's propping up the system itself. You're right.
Yeah, it's really crazy to me, and that's why like all these guys who are just pushing this Fed slop on that Charlie Kirk shit. And I don't know what your take on that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
No, I've been
early.
Get into that.
But it's like, I know this is going to be a crazy statement to say, but let's put the evidence aside, right? I know it's a crazy thing to say in a case.
Yeah.
Put the evidence aside, all right? Let's look at the history of high-impact assassinations and what we know about them. There is always a hidden hand. And now this idea that Twiggs could be the person we see in all the videos totally sets up with two Oswalds at JFK, two Sirhans. You know, I mean, we can just go through it. I mean, like that famous picture of Malcolm X dying on the street with a man on top of him, what were believed to be him trying to save him. That guy turned out to be one of the most hidden undercover cops of all time, to the point that the NYPD didn't even know he was a cop. That even before he graduated from the police academy, they pulled him aside and told him what his mission was. That's how controlled all this shit is.
My first thought when I downloaded enough to understand at least the basics of what had gone on after September 10th this last year with Charlie Kirk, my first question was, is Tyler Robinson real? Is he even real?
That's where we start getting into some crazy shit.
I mean, there's so many theories, and that always happens with every event. Like, and it's ritualistic because it's public. Like, it's burned in your brain. You see it's like the towers falling, you know, over and over again. So you see, like, this is. So there's something to it. I found the entire story, and of course the text between him and the tranny guy, like whatever that is, like look under your keyboard, you know, and my love, and like it's like two chatbots. Like if you put two chatbots together and gave them like a parameter, like you just did this crime, and you need to go ahead and tell the other chatbot what you did. That's what it would look like.
Yeah, I agree.
If you've interacted with AI enough, that's what it just sounds like that. And people will say, well, that's how younger people talk. And I'm like, I have a 21-year-old son. What are you talking about? Like, they don't talk like that. I mean, what is that? There's just something.
Nothing makes sense.
Something about, it's kind of like Vegas, the Vegas shooting.
Oh,
very much.
Right. It's like that because you never. It's like they hurry up just to give you an explanation, and then like there's so many holes in it, and there's so many anomalies.
FBI sets the table that we all work from. They set this is the case. Here is what we're telling you. And then we all have to work from that reality. And the reality is already corrupted.
Right.
So we're trying to solve an already corrupt case.
And so the thing too, the whole thing, he has his grandpa's Mauser, which is so that's a very rare. Yeah. Johnny, you know this,
of course. Yeah,
it's I've shot a Mauser, like a real World War II.
Collectible. Yeah.
Right, that was Hitler's favorite weapon. Hitler's favorite weapon was the Mauser because he carried it as a soldier in World War I. Like it's bolt actions, 30-06. And I mean, they're expensive now. Like I got to shoot one because I had a wealthy friend that's like, I bought it's $5,000 or whatever it was 15 years ago. And I heard that. And that's the first thing that came to my mind was the JFK assassination. They found a Mauser.
Oh, right? Shit, dude.
That was the first thing they picked up was the Mauser. And then it turned into the Mannlicher Carcano. Right. So it changed from a Mauser, which is very expensive, even in 1963, to a $12 mail order rifle. So that's the first thing I thought of was, okay, that's weird. And the entire thing just screams that you're trying to get enough people to buy into the accepted, whatever, the push narrative, and then get behind the facts or quote unquote facts of that you forget, like, don't look at all the other anomalies. Like, what about the people what about was it the guy, the protester said, I did it. He just happened to be at
Poundstown. What's his name?
So weird. That old guy.
The
Poundstown guy.
Well, that's how I knew something was up because within seconds they had 3 suspects. Is it this guy? Is it this guy? Is it this guy? They did that with Trump's first assassination too. Well, and instantly they had 3 suspects.
And I'll tell you too. Okay, so I'm not an authority on this, but I've been in 3 foreign wars. I'm a combat vet. I was a paratrooper. I've been shot at, done the whole thing. Okay. For everybody that I've taken on like gunfire, it's like to go kill somebody is not easy. Like just think about your nervous system, what you have to develop to go take and like with precision to go kill somebody. I mean, a lot of people, you put them in a deer stand for the first time, they can't get the deer. They get too nervous, like the adrenaline and everything else. So I always just think I don't think because of video games, people think it's really easy, but I don't think that it is. I think I've in combat scenarios, and that's why we trained our soldiers. From World War I, there was a huge miss rate. Like you take these guys off the farm, and they wouldn't hit human target. It's not natural for us to go kill each other. So they had circle targets. And by the time World War II rolled around, they shaped them like men. And then by the time I got into the military, they actually had them, they named them. They called them Ivans. And then the little pop-ups, they make a silhouette of a person pop up. And so you're killing this head and shoulders.
Movies they rolled out with people shoot, because this was taught to me, I've said before, when I did some of these USO tours. The guy told me, like, in World War I, they realized they couldn't shoot other people. So they started propagandizing it by putting it in movies.
That's why firing squads aren't just one guy shooting another guy. They would, because they found that most people weren't willing to do it. They would shoot
unnatural
somewhere else.
Yeah, like when you say bankers' wars, like all these wars that we fought, just the slaughter pens of the 20th century, regular folks would never dream that up. That's why, unfortunately, in human society, we're ruled by psychopaths. I mean, people that
100%,
and they climb to the top. They'll tell you what you want to hear, and they'll lull you into a false sense of security. That's just, that's happened throughout history. Psychopaths reach the top, but just to take a kid, whatever he is, if he's he got radicalized on a Discord group. What? Yeah. And then he just decided he's going to throw away his life. Get a Mauser, I have a hard time with it, and the entire narrative to me it reeks of something wrong. Like, and I don't know what other the theories. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, some of the theories are insane. But I didn't know this about Charlie because the first time I heard it, I go, why would you shoot Charlie Kirk? I mean, because I thought he's kind of innocuous. Like he wasn't super radical. Like he wasn't like in your face right wing. He wanted to have discourse. And I just remember him being loathed by the Groypers who were like, you know, I remember like seeing videos of people show up and they're like, hey, Charlie, when you're in Israel, do people do a lot of dancing? Did you ever go to any nightclubs? And he's like, no, I didn't see that. He's like, okay, everybody, when you get home, Google dancing Israelis, you know? And that's the stuff that I remember because Charlie and I were on the same, I never met him, but we were on the same radio station when my second time in radio, like he would come on, I think like 2 shows after me. So I always could listen to his content. I think, oh, you know, it's pretty standard. There wasn't anything there that said, oh, okay, he's really drawing some fire.
Crowder does that. I could see Crowder getting shot before Charlie Kirk when it happened. I could see Crowder doing it because he does that, changed my mind.
More
but
invasive.
He's very more aggressive. That's why I was like, like you're saying, it would have been more of a Crowder thing for it to have happened.
It just didn't add up. But then, with everything that's come out, you realize, Charlie was more important than I thought he was. I didn't follow him, so I was like, he had the ear of the president. Oh, okay. And he was telling the president, do not do this with Iran the first time around. You know, like, this is not good for us, not good for business. And then I see all those clips of him coming out, like with Megyn Kelly, like, you know, he's just pouring his heart out to her. Like, I'm getting called an anti-Semite by people in my texts, you know, like, because I don't support genocide. You know?
Yeah. And then he started going on. It's like, you know, Andrew,
those texts with Candace too, where he was,
where you know Andrew read them. Yeah. Andrew read them, and it was a real bad play for him.
What did he say to that?
So he's reading them because he was in a Twitter space, and he was like, he wasn't leaving the cause, he wasn't doing that, and then he reads it, and then someone in the Twitter thread is responding to Charlie, going, having Candace on might be good in the long term, but not in the, might be good in the short term, but not in the long term, and all this stuff. And he reads it as Charlie Kirk said that. And he literally says, I have no other choice but to leave the pro-Israel movement.
Yeah.
And again, we've talked about this on the show a lot. It's like, well, if they blow you up and you try to go off reservation, they don't like that. You know, you can ascend so far on your own. And there are people I think can get there on their own to a point. But if they blow you up, they throw money in you and exposure, and they give you access to everything, and then you try to go off reservation, do your own thing. And we see that with Michael Jackson, Tupac, even to a point, Louis C.K. You know, like he started making his own sitcoms and putting them on his own website and keeping all the money to himself. They don't like that. They don't blow you up to lose you. That's a big, big no-no. So he was in fact doing that, and when you're part of an organization that was pretty much created, funded, and blown up by the Zionist movement, and you decide as the captain of that ship to go a different way, it's not good. It's not good, and they don't put up with that shit.
One of my predictions, and I hope to see it come true, will be the separation, even in people's perceptions of anti-Semitism and skepticism of not only Zionism, but the state of Israel itself. Those two things will separate. And what I mean by that, like my counselor, I mean, I talked to a guy, you know, like everything I've ever been through, I reached about 44, and I was like, you know what, I need to probably just lay some of this stuff out. I don't mind. I'll say that publicly. I actually hired somebody, and he's the Jewish guy I've ever met. Like, and he's super cool. He's
Jewy Jew,
very much. And he's from New Jersey and just he talks Yiddish sometimes to me. And he's just a great guy, and he knows all about my life. You know, and he's like, it's just crazy. Like he's a super cool guy. I'm gonna fly out and see him sometime. Just have a steak dinner with him. He's a super cool guy, and we talk about this because I ask him about, like, are you like a political Zionist? He's like, no. Because he sees what's happening too. So people ascribe, like, and I think if that's another problem with where we are now in the space too, is that you can't please the super racist, whatever they like, the haters of Jews. Like, you cannot please those people just by being, hey, I don't let Israel do what it does. Like, whatever. Like, it's not my country. I don't want it interfering in my politics. I'm not going to go fight for it, whatever. Like, that's how I am. I'm more like, I don't interfere in my politics. Do what you want. You're your own country, whatever you want to do. I'm not supporting you. And I find that to be a healthy line. It doesn't make me not like Jewish people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's just, I think that's, and they take those two things and meld them together. And maybe it's because of these organizations that have for years,
it's emotional blackmail. It's either 100% or you hate us.
Yeah.
And that's been done forever. And the reason they have to do that is because that anti-Semitism is the firewall to the highest levels of power. And then once you get through that, you start having a conversation. It's like, is it the Jews? And then you start looking even deeper and you go, oh, there's layers to this shit that go even beyond that. And they are middle management, but they are the face of it because they need to be the face because that's their role. And like, I've been saying this forever. Like last time I was out in Austin, I got called anti-Semitic by 3 people and 2 of them were joking. They were just joking around, but you know, there's always a little truth in everything, in every joke. And what I would say to everybody is that I don't believe in protected classes. I don't think anyone is above criticism or comedy. And if I love you, I can also make fun of you and I can also criticize you. And what happens is and this is all intentional. This is a play that's been playing for many years, which is emotionally brainwash this certain group of people into believing that the only reason people don't like them is because they're so successful. And if that was true, we would all hate Asians because Asians are absolutely fucking crushing it. They actually have a higher standard of living than Jewish people. But you have to do that. You have to get them because it's like any little bit of criticism is goose stepping to ovens. Right. That's what you want them to think. Any calling out is goose stepping. Like for the longest time, it's like if you said Jews ran Hollywood, they would lose their fucking minds. But I'm like, you're gaslighting me right now by saying what I'm seeing with my eyes isn't true. And I don't care that Jews run Hollywood. They created Hollywood. It's their fucking thing. Just stop telling me what I see isn't true. Stop with and that's why all that's going away. And so, you know, I got in a debate with Stu Peters, who I like a lot, and we got in a debate and I go, Stu, you have to fucking show kindness to the Jews that are calling out Zionism. You can't just lump them all together because they're the most important, because you can't use all that fucking emotional blackmail on them because they're one of them. So when they do come out and they do say it and they do call out what's happening, we have to show them love and support because what they're doing is very brave because they're risking being completely alienated from their own people, their mothers, their fathers, their uncles, their aunts, their grandparents. Like, it's a very brave thing to do. And it's like, it's very hard for them to do that because since they took their first breath, they're constantly reminded of the Holocaust. It defines their people. And that is done on purpose as well. Because we've talked about it. If you know, it's not even like it's a giant tragedy. It's not even close to the worst tragedy. It's not even in the realm of the worst. Like what Mao did, what Stalin did, what the Bolsheviks did, what King Leopold did, nobody even knows about the Democide that happened at the exact same time and killed way more Chinese. Nobody even knows about it.
We're all subject.
Yeah.
To that, one form or the other, and it's about uniting under the common banner of what threatens us, what threatens our liberty, what threatens our prosperity, our ability just to raise a family. You have entities and groups that would like us to beat each other's throats, to start new wars, to burn shit to the ground, and that's not the future that I want. I mean, I've seen that. It's not. You talk about like people hating the Jews, and I think, after 9/11. I was 21. I was part of the first Army company on the ground in Kandahar, Afghanistan. So like tip of the spear, like arriving. I got debriefed by General Mattis. Like I'm 21 years old. I just turned 21. So I'm landing in Afghanistan in 2001. People ask me like, "What were you? 2002, 3?" I'm like 2001.
Damn,
they were still pulling wreckage out of the.
I was about to
finding
say
bodies.
That was fast because it was September. You must have been there like.
I had orders like the next day, and one of the I had to learn for myself, like dealing with Muslims, and then seeing the humanity of people, That's why stuff that is burned into my brain. Like it'll never leave me. And I think, well, these are people, you know. Like, and I got back to a world which, you know, America can be very insulated. And I remember going to churches. You know, I go to church that I went to when I was a kid. It's very evangelical, very, you know, it's the kind of place that would wave an Israeli flag now, you know, some of that shit. And I remember hearing people say, oh, we should just nuke them, you know, just drop a big one on them. I'm like, so just genocide of people? Do you even know who did this? Do you even know? That was, it was so disgusting that people would just resort to that sort of talk. And it made me anti-war. My service made me anti-war. Not that I'm not a pacifist, by the way. I think violence sometimes is absolutely called for the right reasons, like to defend your home, to defend your country, and you should be a monster if you have to be, and out-monster the monster. But then, you know, you have to also retain your soul. So just wanting war for the sake of it, I think, is a psychopathic
Especially when you're
trait.
not going to participate in it yourself. Like, if you're calling for war, I mean, you've been to war. But someone like Mark Levine or Levy or whatever his name is, Levine, calling for war, you fat old fuck. Go on the front line, dude. I mean, why does my family have to go? Like, I have a cousin who is join the military. God bless you, because I understand why you're doing it. But it makes me very scared that he's going to be on the front lines of this fucking war. None of Mark's family's going to be there.
No, none of the people that push us into war. I mean, you can say what you will about people like Teddy Roosevelt, but he said, follow me. He didn't say charge. Like, he actually liked war. What is a great story I read about Teddy Roosevelt when he was up San Juan Hill, you know, during the Spanish-American War. And he was Undersecretary of the Navy, left his post, gathered a bunch of the Rough Riders out of San Antonio, recruited a bunch of cowboys and people. And
crazy.
One of the guys that was with him was one of his like upper crust, you know, elite friends from New York. And the guy's got gut shot and he's dying. And Teddy Roosevelt jumps off his horse. The guy's taking his last breaths and he grabs him and he says, my God, how lucky you are. You get to die in a war. Like, he loved that shit. But he's out there. And, you know, and Teddy, he died young because his heart gave out on him because he was a different kind of cat.
Wild man.
He was a wild man. But I think he died of a broken heart, actually. I think his favorite son, Quentin, had joined the Royal Air Force, you know, during the First World War before America entered, and he got shot down and he was killed, and he just died. Like, I think he kind of reaped, you know, Jesus talks about that in the Bible, you know, if you live by the sword, so shall you die. He never said it was wrong, but he did mention that, like, you reap what you sow. And so whether you're a direct casualty or not, if you promote the war, it's kind of like Lindsey Graham. You know, his whole life was about unnecessary violence. He didn't commit it. He wanted it done, though. And he was like in JAG in the Air Force or something. You know, he was in the military, quote unquote. But his life was dedicated to that. What a waste of a life. He could have been for peace. I mean, he would have died of a heart attack a lot earlier, or whatever he died from. But, you know, JFK, same thing. JFK, you know, served in World War II. And that's PT 109, you know, that whole story about he drug, his crew got cut in half by a Japanese destroyer at a PT boat. And he drug one of the guys to safety with his teeth. You know, like, and he was crippled after that. I mean, really, he was always in pain because he had Addison's disease too. But if you look at some of the speeches, I always point to the American University speech, June 1963. If anybody ever has a chance, listen to that JFK gave, if you want to know why he got his head blown off. That's the reason. He just talked about our shared humanity. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's future, and we're all mortal. And when you've seen what I've seen, this one image always burns in my head. There was this Iraqi mother, 3 of her sons in a car, and they didn't slow down at a checkpoint. Got lit the fuck up. Just pop, you know, got lit up. And I'm watching her, and she comes to the point where, like, dealing with the PR and everybody, like, it's not necessarily the hospital. You come to pick up the remains, and this lady was beating her head, like, just beating herself and ripping her own hair out. Like, just her soul is dying because her sons are just massacred. Again, you got to think, you can't really blame the troops. You got this strange war. What are we here for? What are we doing? And then you got CIA funded Al Qaeda, which that's what it means. It means the database. It doesn't mean some strange base somewhere. Al Qaeda is a database of fighters they picked up in 1979, along with Tim Osman, who's Osama bin Laden. This was documented,
100%
proof stuff that they ran these ops, and it's like years later you have ISIS and all these groups that Hillary Clinton wanted to shoot down Russian aircraft so they didn't kill Al Qaeda. I mean, what the hell was 9/11 for? But we're there, and all these things are going on, like all these operations happening at once. So it's hard to know who the enemy is and then what is winning look like. What the hell are we doing? So you can't really blame the troops for, because it might be a car bomb, might not be. It might be the enemy. Could not. Nobody. There's no clear definable lines, and it's chaos for the sake of chaos's sake. Right.
No, I totally agree. Even when it comes to like the Armenian genocide, you're like, is there a hidden hand in the Young Turks that is always there when you start to really dive deep and get down to the brass tacks of all this shit? Is like, were they Muslims or were there other things involved? And that's why, like, when Netanyahu's talking about we got to eliminate Hamas, you created Hamas, right. You fund Hamas, you arm Hamas, you tell Hamas what to do. Same thing with ISIS. I mean, it's really crazy, and it's like, good luck telling people that. Good luck.
It's like Trump talking about communism. Trump's like, we got to go after talking about all of a sudden the communists came back. Well, they've never really gone away, but he talks about the communists, and you think, okay, well, Trump was bailed out by Wilbur Ross in the 90s. Wilbur Ross is a Rothschild agent. The Rothschilds propped up the group that supported Karl Marx. It's like there's the degrees of separation,
yes.
Right? So like, and if you know history, and I'm an amateur at this, but I'm interested in it, right? So the more you look into this, like, the conspiracy theory of history is correct. The issue that we have now is like transmuting that to the next generation with all this other bullshit. And I was going to say too, I forgot to mention, I was on the beach a couple of weeks ago, and I was reading more Will Durant, and he mentioned another figure in history that preceded you, Sir Francis Bacon. He preceded, and he was talking about scientific development. And it was a guy named Roger Bacon. Now, Roger Bacon was the first real scientist, okay? And I know that's what your pug is. And he's a gay pug now.
Yeah,
and I must have done something really bad.
Power gay.
And I'm Friedrich Nietzsche, and I'm sorry about the whole God is dead thing. People thought I was syphilitic, but I just had low T. I got rid of that, and I got the mustache shaved down.
It's a crazy time, dude. And, the whole thing is like, I sometimes wonder if we're supposed to actually know the truth. Can we get to the center of this rotten onion, and what happens when we get there? Can we understand what God is? Is it beyond our understanding? What created this place? Why we're here? All that stuff. Can our minds even get to that?
I would like to think so. I'd like to think that we had the capability of understanding why we exist. I think, like, if we're created in God's image, God's a creator. It doesn't mean you have to go make things, but just create a good life. And I had this theory a while ago. I don't know. I drive a lot between Texas and Missouri, and I'll just sometimes just zone out for a couple hours. And I had this thought. We talk about like revelation of the method and predictive programming, and we'll find little Easter egg things like Neo's passport expires on September 11th, 2001 in The Matrix, and all these little hidden gems that you'll find in movies and pop culture about things that will happen. Not that you would have ever noticed it then.
Yeah.
So it's not, and we, I think, wrongly have ascribed revelation of the method to like a group of like living third dimensional beings. I think it's God. I think it's just giving you a wink and a nod to the simulation I think it's God's simulation. So I believe that in a time in which we live now, it's more important for you to think in spiritual terms because we're living in that world. It's so whether or not evil people can gain power and retain power is probably outside of the point because it doesn't belong to them. So all of what we do, I think getting closer to the truth is absolutely possible.
It's interesting, dude. It's like, it's like someone hit me up. They sent me a video, a friend of mine. It was about like, don't worry about waking anybody up. It's not your job. And I do think that. I think the people listen to this show, I'm very blessed. And I'm very, I watch a lot of these people going back to Fankin' the Funk on a nasty dunk, say things that they may not actually believe. And I think you do a real disservice to your audience because your currency is authenticity. And they're looking for a lighthouse in a sea of shit.
Right.
And we need to be that lighthouse. And when you violate that contract, that's when you start to lose people. And it's like, it can be very heavy when you want to save everybody. You know, it's like that's a heavy burden to have because some people don't want to be saved. It's like in recovery. When I work with people new to recovery, I tell them, this may sound bad to you, but it's not. Your recovery has nothing to do. I don't care. It's your life. You're going to be the only one that saves you. If you relapse, I'm going on with my life. I'm just here to get you to that year that is so important in recovery. But it's all on you. And it, like you relapse, I'm going to be sad, but my life is going to go on. And that's kind of how I feel about what we do, you know, is it's like if you get lost in it like that. And I see this with new conspiracy theorists. They become Paul Revere and they want to warn everybody of everything. And when nobody listens, they start to lose their mind. And then eventually get like, oh, because in a weird way, right? In a weird way, everything that we're talking about there has happened, right? But the belief of the end of times never really happens.
Right.
Right? So it's like, why do we talk about it? You know, I've talked about this before. Like a very good friend of mine from high school asked me if I'm actually doing any good. Like, am I helping people with this? And I go, well, if more people listen to my show, less would get the shot. And we've lost people within the comedy world of LA, young people dying of the weirdest cancers possible. And it's insane to watch. So I go, do we have a good Yeah. I'm going to warn you of what they're doing. It is up to you to decide whether you're going to act on that warning or not. And if you choose not to, like my own mother, who I would step in front of a bus for to save her life, even at her advanced age, okay, did not listen to me. She has heart problems now and she's on blood thinning medication. I mean, it breaks my heart, but I can't do anything about it. She chose not to her son, who loves her more than oxygen, right? She didn't want to listen to it. She wanted to listen to somebody on the funny screen.
Yeah.
That doesn't even know her. That kind of woke me up to like, I can't save anybody. And it's not my job to save anybody. But it's my job to, and a lot, you know, I love doing this show and I love people listening. You know, it's helped basically take care of my family. Like I'm allowed to provide for my children because of this show. And that's why I take it so personal. But really, a lot of this is for me, right? And to like, I'm learning as you guys are learning. We're learning together, but it's about me learning. And in reality, maybe it's a little selfish to say that, but it's really true. Like I'm blessed that these people are listening to us, but it's like I want to know so I don't fall for the shit. If you're listening to the show, you know, not to hate somebody because they have a religion you don't agree with or a belief system you don't agree with because that's what they fucking want. And like not to fall for this idea like you brought up earlier about nuking a bunch of fucking people who live in an area where these fucking bankers want to steal all their resources. Like, you know, and listen, man, I mean, like, I get the history of Muslims and all that shit, but, you know, you can say whatever you want. We killed a bunch of them in Iraq. Oh, like to the tune of millions.
A lot. I mean, and even before that, you had the first Gulf War, and by the time the sanctions had really kicked in, you had that famous interview with Madeleine Albright on 60 Minutes, and they asked her, is 500,000 Iraqi men, women, and children worth the sanctions? And without pause, she just goes, oh, I think it's worth it. I mean, we resided over that as a people. And you just have to really take pause and say, yeah, maybe we can't wake everybody up or whatever the hell that even means anymore. But are you doing good? You know, are you taking everything you've ever learned, the culmination of all the books and all the shows you've taken in, and everything, is it manifesting in helping people navigate this?
Yes.
And that. Like I got an email yesterday from a listener I've never met, never heard of. He must have listened to my shows for years because he emailed me this long email and asked me, can I fill in the gaps of the other books that you've read? Can you send me a picture of your bookshelf? Because I'm trying to finish these books that you've talked about. And some of them I look back and go, I haven't talked about that book in 3 years. But he's listening, so it's a privilege.
It is a privilege.
It's a real
privilege. It's a blessing. But you got, and the more you talk, the more of an independent thinker you are, the more you'll lose people around you. I've been absolutely excommunicated from the LA comedy scene. None of these motherfuckers that I came up with, none of these motherfuckers that I've helped, nobody of these motherfuckers that I pointed in right directions, call me, put me in their shows. None of that shit. One of these people that I came up with, I helped, I'm not going to say guy or girl, helped them. And they live next to me. Our kids are the exact same age. My kids have never met their kids. Ever. The phone never rings. The phone never, nothing. I mean, it's really crazy. It's like, and you just see those memes all the time. The more you know, the less people you have around you. And it sucks. Because, especially in Los Angeles, which is the mecca of conformity. LA, the reason LA is dying is because it no longer pushes culture. And it's all about conformity. And you create projects not because you want to create great art, but because you want to sell it and you don't want to offend anybody. And if that's where you work from, your art is hollow. They have trained us to think that something we don't agree with is the greatest capital punishment of all time. And art is meant to arouse emotions. And some of those emotions are anger. And it doesn't mean they're not good people. They're just questioning your reality. And instead of like going, hey, here's a data point that maybe I wasn't thinking about, now you want a jihad against them. You want to run them out. You want their careers to be destroyed because they see the world differently. It's no longer okay to disagree. That is the greatest sin of all time. And that to me is manipulation and brainwashing, that you cannot have a conversation. Listen, dude, I tell people all the time, I don't give a fuck if you don't agree with me. I don't care. You're my friend. We don't agree on shit. That's all right. Not anymore, dude. It's the great divide, dude. It's crazy to me.
Don't you think, though, maybe in your subconscious that over time, like that will change for you? Like on a long enough timeline, because of everything you've ever done and all the people you've helped and all of the work that you've done and the traveling and everything, it has like this compounding effect that will eventually catch up and you will have your day. I mean, you're having your day now, but
I agree with that. It's just hard to go through it.
I think it happens with greatness. Honestly, I mean, maybe I'm flattering you too much, but
I need it. I'll take it. I'm losing my mind.
What's up with Tony and Sam? But I do believe
best friends.
Yeah,
Tony, I'm gonna say something to you right now that's gonna come off because you've been to war. You're trained in the arts of taking people out. I've taken martial arts my whole life, couldn't fight my way out of a paper bag. I mean, if I have to, I can, but I'm not a fighter. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a fighter. So, I there's this thing right now with particularly the left is this notion of getting rid of the cops, getting rid of the prison system, right? And I think deep in my heart, that is the dumbest thing that side could do. And the reason I think of that is because the silent majority of this country doesn't react to riots and all that shit because they don't want their kids to grow up without parents because they're in jail. But if you take that away, a great reckoning is coming. Am I really far off on that? Because again, I'm not a dangerous man, so I don't want to act like I'm going to go out there and fuck everybody up. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I think the silent majority is like, if I do something, my kids are going to grow up without a parent, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to kind of sit back and allow some of this shit, these people to act out of pocket. But if the threat of no prison is there, if there's no prison threat, I think you could see very mild-mannered people really go off. And the reason BLM and the reason that Antifa can do what they do is because they might not have the fear of going to jail. And they're not afraid to commit the violence because they don't care about the consequences. But if you take those consequences away, I think you're looking at chaos.
Well, absolutely. You'll have, I mean, nature abhors a vacuum. The vacuum will be filled by something, right? So the purpose of that, I believe, when they're talking about dismantling all the police and getting rid of the prison system, which the prison system, by the way, is fucked. I mean,
it's fucked.
We're 5% of the world's population. We have 25% of its prisoners.
I agree.
Mainly based off of like the quote unquote war on drugs, which is really the UN's war on drugs and chemicals that are not inside their Rockefeller system. That beside the point. If you take away that, I mean, again, and I have problems with policing. I was a military policeman. I wouldn't have made a great cop. You know, my problem is always just letting people go. Like, I understand life happens, and like I'd have a hard time just arresting people for shit that you could probably just.
Or like weed, like in Texas right now.
Oh, that'd be. I mean,
absolutely
I could
insane.
never arrest somebody for a plant. You know, like I always wonder why we spend so much time on these like non-violent crimes and things that don't really hurt anybody. Maybe they hurt themselves. Maybe they have an underground economy or whatever. But you're talking about like violent criminals. Like we ought to have like a Dexter system on that. Like there's a lot of people that in our, you know, the military apparatus, the law, that really want to just go and hurt people. I mean, a lot of them want to help, but there are those that want to take on. But you never see them hitting like MS-13 and like the major, you know, violent drug gangs. They're always like arresting, like, again, we're getting into these situations like we've seen with ICE and stuff that's happened over the last year. So I have a real problem with a lot of aspects of law enforcement. But if you take the entire thing away, what fills it is there's going to be chaos, and then people, and an order ab chaos. You know, the greater the chaos, the greater the order. And the greater the order will be tyranny. So you either have a measured thing that you have to deal with and have to reform, or you have something that replaces it that is a nightmare. So that is just without wisdom.
Yes.
You're just going to go and take something.
Because they're all rich kids fantasizing. That's who's pushing shit.
You're right. I mean, it's the rich kids. I mean, whether it's the Bolshevik Revolution or any sort of Marxist revolution around the world, it's always funded by the world's richest people and trust fund kids. And some of it's just used as a counterpoint so they can get away with screwing you over more and owning more things, getting rid of the middle class. That's the war that we're in right now, Anta. That is a bad idea. And I don't consider myself, I'm not a tough guy at all. I'm 46 now. You know, I don't want to get in a street fight. If I have to, I will. But I
got black belt and running away.
I'm living like Sun Tzu's wisdom is like the greatest battle to win is one that's not fought. Like use your mind. Like if you can do that, I do not want to get in a street fight. And I definitely don't want to be fighting, you know, for my home turf and keeping out scumbags and stuff. But you know, like the cops have to do a better job. I mean, we a lot of this, and I think you guys have talked about this on Broken Sim before, like where police departments have IQ tests. If you're too high, they won't. Like, not too high. Like if you're too high, if you have a high IQ, they won't hire you because you'll do like I do and just be like, I don't really think that's a crime. I'll decide. If I was ever to run for an office. And I've said this before. If I was ever to run for, Beans is trying to dig into your couch.
That's fine.
She's trying to make a bed.
That's fine.
I would run for sheriff. I think a sheriff can do. I like that sort of policing, at least in theory, because the sheriff is elected and is answerable to the people without a bureaucracy layered in between. And the deputies that you hire reflect you. They're deputized. And I think we ought to have more of a sheriff-style policing in this country and then get rid of the war on drugs, get rid of all that shit. I mean, if we really arrested people that deserved it, it'd be first-time arrests in this country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was listening to somebody the other day, and they were arguing for taking away physical currency. They're like, well, you know, it's just used in sex trafficking. I'm like, kill all the sex trafficking.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. You don't think digital currency will be used in some way? Whenever you create a program, people will find a way around.
They'll use other things. And paper currency is not just what is considered money. So you can use so the argument that we have to get rid of that so we can have a better grip on, there was like money laundering and other stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, but real crimes against humanity, like using people as commodities. I'm like, well, maybe we should actually, for the first time, since World War II, declare war on those people, like actually have a war with them. Like if you traffic children, we're coming in the middle of the night and we're going to get you.
I mean, and that shouldn't be a radical idea.
That's not a radical. And again, I'm anti-war, right? So I'm not a pacifist. I just think if you're going to fight a righteous war, and that maybe I'm overstepping my libertarian lines, like no trial and stuff, but I mean, if they're in like committing the crimes in real time, and they're storing kids or women or whatever, like you could people would rally around that. Like, hey, worldwide, we're going to just get rid of these people. Like we're going to do.
No, it's like you're totally right. Like I bring this up. It's like the people in Minnesota protesting ICE. I fucking get it. But imagine if you guys took that energy and put it against the Somalians stealing all your tax money. You would get the right and the left behind you. There's nobody that would get upset.
They always pick these things and they hold you hostage with them. So like in Texas, you have the worst politicians. Like Texas is just known for, like the Republican Party. I think the GOP stands for grifters on patrol. They just grift, and they're always on the grift to find because they hold you hostage. They say, "Well, do you like your Second Amendment?" Like, absolutely. Okay, well, you got to vote for me if you want that. You pro-life. You believe that life is sacred. Yeah, I like pro-life stances. Okay, good. Now we're going to go to war for Israel, and and so you have to, like, you're held hostage by them, and it's like we're not. The whole thing about being fiscally conservative too is like that's such a passe. It used to be a thing when I was growing up. Like we talked about the deficit. Nobody mentions that anymore because it's so gigantic. Like nobody even talks about fiscal stuff anymore. So that's out the window. It has to change, starting at the personal level.
It's like it's not globalist, it's not nationalist, it's localist.
It's local. It's right. It's where you, like, even as an individual, like understanding the nature of the matrix that you're in. Like you're not going to be able to vote your way, at least in this system, out of it
because you're voting for I'm sorry to cut you off, but a neocon Zionist or a progressive Bolshevik. They've manipulated the system so much. You're picking.
Either way, the lizard folk win. Like either way. But I think that's coming to an end. It's again like the whole point of Pat Buchanan in 2000 was just to get into the debates. If you can say something that gets once people a question is asked and their brain registers it. And they seek have new information it's embedded into their brainstem, they're going to have an awakening of sorts, and that compounds into other things. It's just breaking through because we are caught in the duopoly. It's a gun to your head either way.
It's just crazy to me. Listen, I love you, dude. I love Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. If you guys go to samtripoli.gold, use the promo code tinfoil, you two can get in on the press mails game, man. I think it's really important, dude. I mean, they're just going to print us out of existence, and I don't know how we stop it. It's not going to be voting on it at all. I mean, we have a system where it's like, this is why I understand why women go crazy, right? Because guys will say anything to get laid. Whatever they want to hear to get down those pants, guys are going to say it. That's vote. That's elections. That's our politicians. Whatever you want to hear, I'm going to tell you to get your vote. And then for the next 4 years, go fuck yourself. Right? And that it's just crazy to me. So it's like with precious metals, you're going to be able to solidify your money because they're printing us to 100 trillion. That's the goal. $100 trillion. And then once we're there, our dollar's worth fucking nothing. And they're just going to flip the system.
That is the point. And the reason that retail on gold, it's like if you're subscribed to Wolfpack or you deal with me,
I do it every month.
You're a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the United States of America. Like, and I'm talking about all gold dealers, all people. It is such a niche thing, but it won't be forever because you'll be forced, like the public will be forced to understand how fake the money was. Like when it's all said and done. But by that time, it'll be basically too late. Like you're left, and even in the promo that I read, you're left holding the bag. You're holding the bag. And if you look at like the metrics that I follow, and I won't take forever, but I know I study this every day. Look who's buying stuff. Okay. Like look don't watch what they say. Watch what they do. Like the central banks aren't hoarding their own currencies. They don't give a shit about that. They're buying physical assets, or the new system is digitized. They're buying Bitcoin. Like retail on Bitcoin, Sam, retail on Bitcoin is almost nothing. That means like retail means people. Like people say, oh, I don't believe it did. It was at 125,000. Now it's at 65. Oh, it's dead. Or whatever. I'm like, do you realize, and I ask people this, do you know the numbers on this? I'll get just food for thought on Bitcoin alone, because I do gold, silver, and Bitcoin.
I want you to talk to Dana. She just wants me to sell all the time.
No, because
you're gonna, after this, you're gonna go over there and lecture her.
Well, would you say, what about like if you want to buy a house to sell? Like, say you have a lot of Bitcoin and you want to sell it to buy something else, because like what would be a moment to sell something like Bitcoin or gold?
I think that's acceptable. Like if you've got asset to asset, real estate is an asset. Obviously they can't make more. They can make more houses, but more land is not going to be manufactured. So a house can serve you well. So that's probably not the worst. You can also borrow against. I borrow against my Bitcoin, but if you look at the amount of people on planet Earth.
Interesting. You borrow against your Bitcoin.
Absolutely. I borrowed at 50% of LTV, and then when I'll just use my business to cash flow, and I'll pay the loan back, and then I put the Bitcoin back in my wallet. I haven't sold Bitcoin in years. I've been in Bitcoin since 2016, but I'll tell you something about Bitcoin, and it's a lot like gold in this aspect if you look at the finite aspect, but even Bitcoin is something that is revolutionary. Like there's 22 million millionaires in the U.S., okay? So there's 22 million millionaires. If every millionaire in the U.S. wanted to own just one Bitcoin and have one Bitcoin at 65,000, have one in a cold storage wallet, it's mathematically, they can't do it. There's not enough Bitcoin. If you look at how many wallets in the world,
interesting.
There's 8 billion people supposedly in the world. So this is the stuff I do with AI. I want to look at how many wallets, how many individuals own at least one Bitcoin, okay? And it's not because, they can go get one tomorrow. It's because they're already bought. So like there's 800,000 people or individuals or entities, 800,000 out of 8 billion that own at least one Bitcoin, okay? And that number will shrink. There's more millionaires in the world than people that have at least $1,200 in Bitcoin. So it's just the scarcity aspect of Bitcoin alone in the face of all of the things that is with fiat, which is infinite. I would do some serious thinking about like reevaluating your stance on Bitcoin. And
I love it, but are you concerned about these people saying it's going to go to zero and stuff like that?
It's not going to zero. I don't believe that. And again, I'm not telling you to put all your money in Bitcoin. I'm telling you to look at the scarcity aspect versus what they're going to have to do to prop up this current system. And the system is going to print into oblivion. So if you're holding physical gold, physical silver without counterparty risk, you're so far ahead of the game because they're going to revalue all of this shit. India last year imported 900 million ounces of silver. 900 million. That's just the people importing it. Governments are buying, China's buying silver, all that stuff. This is cheap right now compared to where we're going. And I think in 10, 20 years, we won't even value this in dollars anymore. It'll be based off. There'll be a new system of weight and measurement that we've never seen before. I don't know what it's going to be.
What would you rather have, gold, silver, or Bitcoin?
I'd start with gold because what I've learned in my business the last 10 years is that gold is very liquid. So I love silver. Silver's got a better upside for long. Like if you'll hold that silver for the 10, 20 years, you're going to be thanking me. I think it will surpass gold as far as like quantifying in terms of dollars of what you bought it for. But gold is very liquid, and it's really showed up in this last run when silver went to 120. People were just in droves trying to sell to me, and it choked the wholesalers. It choked the refiners. The refiners stopped buying like things like flatware and sterling silver and coins. Like they just said, "Oh, we only do bullion, and you'll get paid in 6 weeks." Like the system couldn't take it. Now, There probably will be an improvement of that in the next 3 or 4 years, I hope, where it'll be a lot more liquid. But gold was always, okay, 24 hours, I can get, closer to spot. I can get liquid right then. Like when I get cash, the first thing I do, I'm probably not buying a whole lot more Bitcoin. I buy like, $20 a day or something. I own Bitcoin from all the way back from 2016 and some. So
filthy Israeli stole so much of mine. I got a bunch of it back, but dude stole. I had 7, and he shit. Yeah, they caught him at the airport trying to get back to Israel. He's in jail, but he'll probably be out soon, and then fuck him go back to Israel.
And then you had that. It's not a perfect. It's not. I love what Bitcoin's done to wake people up, and so the younger generation, to what fiat banking is and central bank, all that stuff, and the power structure. I'm glad they did that. It's not perfect, but my first choice is always going to be gold, physical gold to hold, because I think it stabilizes. It is money, but I love the scarcity aspect of Bitcoin. Like when you would look at the numbers, you're like, wow, that has to go somewhere. Like for it to not go somewhere would be. And maybe it goes to 0. And by the way, I've already told my audience, anybody that knows me, I'm like, I'll ride this bitch to 0. Like I will not sell.
I'm the same way. Listen, I've also said this about crypto. If they're going to get us to buy in to the digital currency, they have to have these cryptos blow up. They have to get people excited about it. Because if Bitcoin goes to 0 and everyone's like, what the fuck? How are you going to get them on US, whatever the coin's going to be? How are you going to get them to buy into it? I'm telling you, you're going to see a surge in all the cryptos. Now, listen, we had it so good, dude. You remember that Wild West of meme coins, and we were all making money
parabolic.
off. We're buying Cum Rocket and making fucking $5,000. We were kings and we didn't even know it, dude. But the point is, like, I believe maybe not in the meme market, but I believe there's going to be a run on crypto. If only they have to get us into crypto. Now, someone said the reason that they've been killing the crypto market because we're extracting so much wealth from their system. But if they're going to move us into the new system, which is crypto, they got to have it pop off. And you just want to be able to be there to grab that money. Now, if let's say you got let's say Cum Rocket goes off again, right? And you want to sell, don't sell it into US dollars. Flip it into Bitcoin.
Right.
Would you buy the American crypto? Like the American dollar crypto? Would you be on top of it? Be the
you
first
may
thing
not
you buy?
have a say in that.
I mean, you won't. You eventually will get direct deposit off of it, but you think you'd jump on it like the second, trying to get that
That's
thing
what they
off
say
of Bitcoin?
XRP is going to be.
I don't think that what they do make will be a public-private partnership. If you notice, by the way, if people think that alternative media can't do some good, I remember I was one of the first people talking about central bank digital currency, CBDC. I didn't think anybody was listening. All of a sudden, a lot of people, and I don't think I had any hand in it, but I was talking about it early. And now it's not a thing anymore. Like it's such a bad brand, the central bank digital currency. So they're like, okay, we're going to do something different. There's no CBDC. It'll be worse because they'll do what is a fascistic system. They'll do public-private partnership with stable coins. So stable coins are stable. So you won't have like buying into a stable coin isn't going to go parabolic. It's not going to be like a meme coin or Bitcoin back in the day. I also think that they're building a lot of their systems to support whatever the Bitcoin network is. Like a lot of the fiat banking elites, even Larry Fink, head of BlackRock, goes to Davos about a year ago and says, "Hey, Bitcoin's going to 700,000." Now you think you know something? That's Larry Fink, right? And he's launched the ETF. The exchange trade fund for Bitcoin, the most successful one ever, most successful ETF. So I would really pay attention to what they're looking at too.
Do as they do, not as they say, right?
They are.
They ain't even saying it though.
Yeah, and but it's saying it to Davos people. It's not coming out, doing an infomercial to the public saying, "Hey, by the way, your savings dwindling. You should get into big." They're not saying that. They're going and telling others that are other banksters. So. Something to watch out for.
It's interesting, man. And everyone got excited when they were getting into it, but it's also a great way to manipulate it. Buy a bunch of it, sell it high, buy it low. So I mean, people just start freaking out. I held on a lot of coins, and maybe I shouldn't have been a holder the whole time, but I've never sold a Bitcoin, never will sell Bitcoin, no matter what Dana tells me. We've lost so much money. I'm like, it's a long game, man. Just ride it, dude.
There's a company, I'll tell you who it is after the show. You can probably get them to sponsor you. You can loan it against your Bitcoin and they'll hold it. And your Bitcoin is not reallocated. It's just in your wallet. This is a secure wallet and you can borrow 50% against it. I think that's cool if you believe that, because I think that it's funny. The first time that Bitcoin went to 100,000 is right before I went on the show back in 24 here when we were recording over in Hollywood. And it hit 100,000 right before I walked in the studio. And we had an interesting conversation that day. Do you remember? And we talked about, you asked me what the second Trump administration was going to be about. And I told the story of Croesus, the Lydian king, the first person to ever coin gold. I'll shorten it. But I should find the clip. It's at like 52 minutes in. I thought about it afterwards. I don't know why. You asked me what the second Trump deal was going to look like. And I told that story. And that Lydian king back, 3,000 years ago, wanted to conquer Persia. So he sent out and he found an oracle. He's like, tell me the future. So he showered the oracle with gold. And he said, what happens if I invade Persia? Because I want their gold.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
And the oracle said, if you invade Persia, a great empire will fall. And it was his.
Yeah.
Right. It was like Twilight Zone consequences. Like he didn't clarify which one. But he just took it as I'm going to be a victor, and he lost all of his gold, lost everything, and the Persians conquered. So, that's what I thought the second Trump administration was going to be. I don't know why, but that's just what was sticking out in my mind.
Seems like that's happening, right?
We're losing. Think of the wealth. And I don't want to get into it forever because it's a long conversation, but all the stuff we could have done, Sam. Think about all the deals we could have made, all the trade, all the prosperity we could have had, and we had to go do this thing, which is, it has a nastiness to it. It has a bad energy.
It's very weird because he could have been the greatest president ever. He had a chance of that, and he picked burning his brand for all this wealth. And it's like, you're 80, bro. Like, what are you going to do with all this wealth? What are you going to do with it? Like, to know that when you take your last breath, that people would have talked to you like you were a conquering king.
Yeah.
And you threw it all away.
For numbers. For numbers
dude.
On a screen.
You don't think somehow it was his life? Where they literally almost killed him, where he's like, it's because I do think he wanted to be the best president ever. Like,
dude.
No, you don't think
I think you're crazy.
I think they touched on what animates this guy. I mean, he's a malignant narcissist. His own lawyer, Ty Cobb, said that, the guy that was close to him in a lot of legal battles. It's a wounded narcissist. Maybe that's what it is.
Wounded narcissist. What a great way to describe people.
Because it has to be about you and the numbers on the, like, I read Trump's books before he ever ran for president. And some of the ones I read, he has an affinity for always going backwards. Like he will always attack the past. Like anybody that's wronged him, instead of just building. Like you could have just been 10 times as wealthy, focusing on the future. And I don't know what. I mean, obviously, there's so many things tied to why we went to war with Iran and just had this. I mean, we're running out of missiles, and we got Pete Hegseth, and we changed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. I mean, it's bizarro land.
Yeah, and he could have been the best.
And he could have been the best.
And he could have. We all would have been prospering. We all would have been doing great. And instead, he chose darkness, dude. And it's like, look at the Bushes. Like, I'm sure they're still living well, but that brand is dead. You couldn't get a Bush anywhere. Nope. You couldn't get a Clinton anywhere. And they've made it so their kids can never enter any of their kids have to forge their own way. I mean, and now they tried to run a Latino Bush in Texas.
I know.
And he got his dick kicked in where there's Mexicans everywhere.
Yeah. George P. Bush.
Yep. And he got his ass kicked and he lost. The brand is fucking dead. And look at Dick Cheney's daughter. She just ran out of fucking town. And now every time she shows up, everyone just thinks she's a stupid, person because of what her dad did. And and it's like such a, we always want to say live in the moment. And I get that in certain ways spiritually. But man, you guys lied, cheat, steal, and killed. And now your kid's brand is fucking dead. They have to go and become a fucking normie. They can't follow in the family business in any way because your family business was death and destruction.
It really lends some of the wisdom to, the psychopathic path of politics, where you get the psychopaths and the sociopaths rise to the top. Then I think about like some lowly PFC serving in the military. You tell that kid, you're going to break in that door. We got to go take out so-and-so, he's dealing with weapon, whatever it is. That PFC is going to go do it, risk his life or her life or whatever. And you think about just that small act, you might never hear if that person gets killed. So that courage exists on the bottom level, but it doesn't exist hardly ever anymore at the top echelons. And when people say, well, maybe they threaten his family, and I'm thinking, well, maybe you threaten them back. Maybe you just do it anyway. And I think that's what was happened to JFK. And honestly, I think you touched on this, or talking about, it's a weird thing going on with Nixon right now. The
revisionist history.
Well, I've studied his life for many, many years. And my favorite movie is Oliver Stone's Nixon. I've really delved into his life. There's something weird about what happened to him that never happened again. And it's like he touched something when they got rid of him. Like he was the only president to ever resign. So there is something with that. So I agree with you that it's weird they're pulling him out now. I never thought I'd live to see where we be talking about tariffs and shit. Like when I ran for Congress, I didn't think any of this stuff. When we passed through this rabbit hole where stuff that I thought about and studied really hard, like when I was just nobody talked about it, has been talked about now. But yeah, Nixon I think touched something with the CIA, with Kennedy. There was something, the mob. There was something in there. And he had this weird, competition with dead JFK in his mind, and he really liked Jack Kennedy. They were friends, the Jack Kennedy, they were really good friends. But there's something with that, and I think we just reached a point now where there's no heroes. Like there's the system
at that level for sure.
I mean, the farthest. I mean, we used to have Ron Paul, and then the closest thing that our generation gets is Thomas Massey. And they just did this to him, which I honestly, if I was Thomas Massey, I'd be smiling too. I mean, just so I would smile because now you're a martyr, and they can't take that away from you. You just proved a point, So and who the hell would want to live in D.C. and be in the man? I'm
going to ask you one last question. Okay. It's kind of a weird way to end the show, but
I love it.
So there is this belief right now. The only people talking about a new 9/11 happening is the Zionists. I find that very interesting.
They've been doing this for the last 18 months or so, saying that they've got intelligence that something's going to happen and something's going to. They got lots of chatter.
We've got intelligence. We read our own emails.
Yeah. But it's interesting to me because I think what the desired goal is that they want to be able to pin it on Iran. But going back to some of the stuff we've been talking about today, the brand is dead. And I think if it does happen, you will see instantly people will go, it's Israel again. What are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like they played all their cards and they got no hands to play. And yeah, they'll probably do this traumatic thing because they live off of trauma, and they'll get that initial fucking rush from everyone being traumatized because lizards feed off our anxiety. But I don't feel it's going to get the people. There will always be retards go, we got to get them back for this. But I think the majority of people are like, we know who did it and who's going to do it. And that's why TPUSA is kind of dying right now, because everyone thinks Israel took out Charlie Kirk.
Well, and that's a good example. So you take the Charlie Kirk assassination in a microcosm and then just make it bigger. So when Charlie Kirk kicked off, everybody goes, I don't buy the whole trans supporter guy murder. thing, right? I don't buy Tyler Robinson. That's at least almost every circle that I follow was like, I don't buy that. Whether he had something to do with it or he's a patsy or something, they don't buy it. So just take that and expand it, and it could be horrendous whatever they pull off. But at this point, they've so damaged people's neural pathways to believe the narrative, and we're not in 2001 anymore. And by the way, they had to do that stuff in the way that they did it in 2001. I mean, because the technology was about to kick off where you really couldn't put too much surveillance, too many phones, too many loose ends.
100%.
And they already were sloppy. I mean, if you look at Building 7, come on. I mean,
I think Building 7 is the propaganda. Might be the psyop, but the real thing is Building 6, and that's why nobody talks about it.
I know what you're talking about.
They don't want you looking at the fact that thing's hollowed out and the walls are still up, because now you can't. What, did a plane go like that? How does that fucking happen?
I think that Building 7 was the target of Flight 93. That's been my theory. I think what happened on 9/11 is that an inner controlling element in the government took control, and then we took back control from it. But you could never admit that. You could never say we got our entire defense system was hijacked for hours. I think it was hijacked, and then we took it back, and that's what 93 was about. Flight 93. I think it was supposed to hit Building 7.
Do you buy into the stories of like, let's roll? I mean,
no.
How, I pray I'm never in that situation because I don't want my kids to grow up without a father. But if you're on a plane and there's a bunch of towel heads with fucking box cutters, like, how long do you let that go off before you're like, no, you're not hijacking this fucking plane with fucking box cutters? Like, sorry, dude. I mean, like, maybe I'll get cut or something, but at least this plane's gonna fucking land, dude. I mean, like, do you buy? I mean, again, I'm not a tough guy. I'm not trying to say I'd fucking, Born Identity that shit. But it's like, at what point do you go, okay, this has gone too far, and we're gonna go fuck these 5 guys up? There's 5 of them with tiny box cutters, and there's 300 of us on this plane.
You ever been on a plane and tried to use your cell phone?
Yeah, exactly.
Even now?
Yeah.
Like, even now with the technology, you don't get a signal.
Yeah.
And then we have all these supposed calls. Like, Jim Marrs did a great breakdown on, like, the terror conspiracy book, came out like 20 years ago. It's a great breakdown of this. And we'll never know because, like COVID, 9/11 is an invisible enemy. You find the passport in the rubble, right? But it's an invisible. You never see the hijackers, never hear from them. You don't know what this is about. And I think what proves the point that 9/11 wasn't what they said it was is because all these years later, where's the caliphate? Where's this civilizational war? The only reason we're still fighting in the Middle East is because we're still there. You can just leave. You can just not do that. I mean, and you can stop funding the groups that blow people up. You can stop giving ISIS the weapons and the Toyota pickups.
100%.
And the intelligence.
Stop giving fucking.
Don't kill Assad. Don't
give the Taliban 20 mil a month. Like, what are we doing?
You know how many suicide bombings there were in Iraq before 2003 in the history? Saddam Hussein killed 1 million Iranians in the Iran-Iraq war. 0. Not one Shia radical said, I'm going to take out this Sunni strongman. Not one. There wasn't one suicide bombing. All of a sudden we invade and there's just suicide bombings and IEDs. And well, because one, it's manufactured, and then 2, we create a religious war. Like, we poked it. Like, right now, we think we're going to change regimes in Iran. No, you're not. We've already done this. We did this in 1953 with Operation Ajax. We just threw over Mossadegh and installed the Shah. Like, we don't pick good people. I mean, even Saddam was part of our operations.
100%.
So, like, we caused the chaos in that area because, honestly, Israel, that's their foreign policy. They're not about regime change. They're about chaos. And Tucker Carlson said this the other day, which I had never heard another commentator say that. And I was like, that's exactly right. Just destabilization, fight amongst yourselves. And that's the issue. That's why 9/11, it shows in the years after that the whole thing was bullshit. And
the whole thing was bullshit.
There still needs to be a reckoning for that. I think that we could get there eventually because there's so many anomalies. Nobody believes that.
Yeah. And I just feel that, like, if you're just always going to bring emotion to anything, you're never going to change anything.
No.
If you're worried about hurting people's feelings instead of doing what's right and fixing it and getting to the source of the problem, you're never going to fix it. If you're, oh, that's mean. That's what they live on, dude. That you're too afraid to call them out on their bullshit because you don't want to be called a meanie.
Yeah, it was impolite to talk about the JFK assassination in the 60s and into the 70s. And it took until Oliver Stone released the film that people started talking about it more. Now it's like, oh, yeah, the government.
Oh, yeah, I was just at the museum there, and the conspiracy theories are incorporated into the sixth floor museum, which was surprising to me. They're a big part of it. You know, even the sign on the building says, Lee Harvey Oswald allegedly shot JFK on the site. Like, you know, isn't that crazy?
Allegedly.
Yeah. And someone underlined it with a marker later, but it's on the plaque.
Have you ever gone and walked it?
We just did. Yeah, I just did like 2 days ago.
I've walked the plaza. I've never gone into the book depository.
That one of the 2012 is when I'd never gone to the museum. I never walked the grounds, and I finally went up to the 6th floor, and I went to the window. And I looked down and I saw where he exits from Houston onto Elm, that's where you get the term "a nightmare on Elm Street." I don't know if you knew that.
Really? Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where it's in popular culture. It's a nightmare on Elm Street because they changed the parade route at the last minute. You know, so that's another weird why didn't Oswald take the shot where he's coming straight on? You know, straight down Houston, which is turning into Elm, which goes down. And I would never forget. I was 32. I walked up there and I looked down and I go, holy shit. I realized how hard of a shot that was. 3 bolt-action shots in less than 6 seconds. And in the military, not that I wasn't like a sniper. If you ever hear somebody say they're a sniper, it's like 90% that probably they weren't. I mean, because there's only like 10 guys that are. You know, I mean, I'm not a sniper, but I did shoot expert rifleman, which is pretty hard to do. And luckily, whoever gave me the rifle, thank you, back in the day, they had tuned that sumbitch in really well before I went to Iraq and I got my first expert badge because they had really dialed it in. And this was back in the day before like sights, you know, like you had just open sights, hard sights, iron sights. And I shot expert, and I shot it with half of it with a gas mask on. So I was like, oh, I'm a decent shot. And I looked at that and I said, I couldn't do that shot. And I don't know anybody that could. And then I went to the grassy knoll. And I looked and I saw the trajectory of the X back and to the left. That's perfect. That is the shot.
Right when you can get away from the train station?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because if you look at the Zapruder film, and if you see some of the pictures that day, the grassy knoll, it has the trees over it, and it's got that picket fence, and supposedly the person, the shooter, had like a trench coat on, like people that remember. And everybody died, by the way. They did such a good job.
Oh my God,
it's amazing.
Like the guy who was in the tower,
the Vegas shooting, killed all the witnesses.
The towers that was still up there is still in place, like the train tower that would watch like the trains come in, and that guy saw the weird stuff like the smoke and
the cops went running up that hill too.
And the guy that saw that and was going to go to the Warren Commission, he died in a one vehicle accident. Okay, like in the middle of nowhere, like his car crashed and there's no other car. You know, so like they did a great job just getting rid of witnesses in the JFK. They dumped all that data into the Warren Commission, which, I mean, if you really dig, it's such a snow job. But America back then was a lot more willing to accept.
They trusted authority.
They did. I mean, some of those power players like George H.W. Bush, you know, that they couldn't remember where he was on November 22nd, 1963. And they even had Nixon was in Dallas that day. But I think they had it. He was closing the deal for Studebaker. But I think they just kind of had him there in proximity to like muddy that to see like, oh, he didn't like Kennedy, but he did like Kennedy. They were friends. And it's interesting, a couple days later, when Ruby shoots Oswald, Nixon was watching that broadcast, and they said he turned pale because he recognized who Jack Ruby was because he had summoned Jack Ruby to the House Un-American Activities Committee, and he got Jack Rubenstein. He got Jack Ruby's contact from LBJ's office. So all these things are interconnected. And, you know, George H.W. Bush couldn't remember where he was, but he was in the phone book of George de Mohrenschildt, who had ties to intelligence. And, oh gosh, we had to get Don on the show sometime. He knows all about this. But, like, George de Mohrenschildt was, like, Oswald's handler. And Poppy Bush, with his number in there, was in George de Mohrenschildt's contacts. Like, if you can't buy the official
and so
narrative.
Many of them were on that, like,
They all went to work for NASA.
Presidential Intelligence Advisory Board. That is like the real power, dude. That it doesn't. They don't have to play by any rules, or it's crazy.
You make a good point about the shot too, because I thought the same thing. Why would he leave himself so little time going away? Because he has all this time where Nixon's coming toward him.
You mean
and
JFK?
I'm sorry, JFK. Yeah, forgive me. And now I could understand maybe he's afraid that he would take fire possibly from the cops when they are coming at him, because if he's shooting down on them, they're looking up and they could see him possibly. But it's just a much easier shot. And then he doesn't take the shot right after they turn either. Which you could say maybe he's sighting the president, but you would think he would have already done that and would be following him in the scope, like around that turn. Yeah, there's just so much about it. It's such an easier shot.
Think of the language. Think of the language that he used too, Lee Harvey Oswald. After that, when they arrested him at the theater, I'm a patsy. And he had a camera on him that was military grade. It wasn't still being in use, but it was something from like when they used a spy camera in World War II. Like, this is supposed to be a broke guy who believes in Marxism. And he was able to defect to the Soviet Union and then come back like no big deal. He even had. You got to look at the connection, like with George DeMorenshield, who I think, and maybe I just wouldn't have time. I think before he was supposed to testify before the House on Assassinations back in the 70s, they found him like he was floating in the ocean in a 50-gallon drum or something. Like he was one of those characters. Like they got rid of so many people, even up until that time, and then that's when they dumped. That's when Dick Helms, the leader of the CIA, started burning all the MK Ultra files and all that stuff. That stuff's fascinating. That's real research.
I love that shit. I love hearing about all that, dude.
Yeah, that's the stuff that floats around in my brain, but not people that are still alive after
They're
hundreds
idiots.
of years.
Tony, great show, dude. Long one, good show to come back at. One more time. We didn't even go over like where can they find you?
You can just go to Tony.gold if you want to find me. That's my website, Tony.gold, easy to find. It's got links to everything in my shows. I'm trying to get it updated. I'm really behind on web stuff. I haven't even posted on social media. I'm terrible at this.
I hate it, dude, but it's part of the gig. Did you go to Tony? Go to Tony.
Tony.gold. It'll take you to my website. And it's actually Arterburn.gold, but it's the same thing. Tony.gold will get you to Arterburn.gold. There's me.
Look at that, stunningly good looking. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, dude.
There's me. It's official broadcast of the apocalypse. I do.
I love that, dude. I love that.
Beans is on my logo. Thanks for letting me have Beans again.
Anytime, all the time.
Is there any other crypto you hold on to? Just Bitcoin, because I hold a little bit of Ethereum. You think I should get rid of it?
No, I think if you like another crypto, do it. I love the space, and I'm still a subscriber to the Copy My Crypto guy that sponsors your show. I just don't hold a lot of other things. Just mainly because of the scarcity and decentralization aspect of Bitcoin. But if you came and showed me the functionality of a coin, I'm happy to look at it. I own a few things. Most of them haven't gone anywhere, but I'm more of a big. Most of my if you give me $100, tell me to save it, I'm probably going to buy some gold and a little bit of Bitcoin and some silver. I stay in those three things. I don't have the brain capacity anymore to hold. There's too many things happening in this revolution of money. I just try to stay in my lane so I can I'll go mad if I try to follow everything.
All right, great show, man. Enjoy the highlights.
Here's a clip from the latest Broken Sim. We're going to do a tier list of conspiracies that are based on how likely they are to be true. Do you understand the prompt, Sam? S tier at the top you see here. That means that this is absolutely true. We know.
I like this.
We know it for a fact that it's true. A is like we're pretty sure, like 99%, but there's a chance it's not. B
okay,
I got it. You got it. And then we go B, C, D, and then F is fittest flat earther. So F fittest flat earther.
Okay, respect.
Broken Sim rank stuff. Broken Sim rank stuff. Broken Sim rank
stuff.
Okay, so we're gonna start. The first one here is the moon landing was faked.
What's your thoughts, Johnny?
I think that is probably, that's about a B for me. I think there's about a 20% chance that they did land on the moon and an 80% chance they did not.
I think it's for sure, which means we average it out. It's an A. So I think it's an A. I think it's for sure we didn't land on the moon. None of it makes sense. All of it's bullshit. CGI. How did they get that giant golf cart up there on that little ass fucking buggy they took up there? So I'm gonna go. You're gonna go. I'm going for sure. You're going B. So it's an A.
Yeah. Okay. That's I think that's fair. We can. I almost would put it in C. It just seems it's almost like so obvious. Okay. So the next one, we're gonna have to be careful because how we say this, because we want to put this on YouTube.
We need to do this more. I love this.
Yeah, me too. It's fun. The Challenger explosion. All right. So the suggestion is that those folks may have had an existence that continued. I'm trying to say this in a meandering way for the purpose of YouTube. And maybe some of them have even been interviewed on YouTube by certain people.
Yeah, in their driveway.
Yeah, in their driveway, and they look just like the people that maybe were supposed to have expired.
Exactly. Same name, same everything. And what's really weird is that one of the guys who is that they say is still alive has a company. I think it's Cows in the Sky or something. And his logo is a cow that's kind of doing the same cloud-like formation of what the Challenger did.
Well, you go first on this one. What do you think?
No, you go first, Johnny.
Okay. Well, I think this is a C. I think if they were going to do this, I don't think they would have any cause to spare the people involved. They would. So I do not think that they continue on this planet as in their corporeal form.
I'm going to say it's an A.
Okay.
Okay, I'm 99% sure.
Okay, all right.
So which would make it a B.
Okay, we'll drop that into the B then. All right, the next one is Princess Di was murked by the royal family.
You want to go first?
You go first. You keep making me go first. You go.
Well, the whole theory is that she was pregnant with this guy's baby.
Yes.
The royals didn't want any Muslim bloodline in their bloodline,
even though they descended from Muhammad. It doesn't make any sense, right?
It's so crazy. But then you get into, was Muhammad like who they say he was?
That's
and
right.
Like Johnny, I think you brought up right that you can't draw him because you'd have to draw him pale with red hair. That's why they don't want you drawing him.
You told me that, but no, that wasn't me.
So I'm gonna go A on this again.
Okay. See, I think this happened as they said, and it was just a really terrible accident. I put this as a D. You put A, so we'll settle on C to get one into C.
Okay, C.
I've done a lot of research on that one, and I'm just not convinced by it. Was the paparazzi were hounding the shit out of her, dude, and it I don't know. Everything I've heard makes it sound like she was genuinely just it was just a genuinely terrible accident. Okay, the next one is that there is real shit going down at Area 51 involving aliens. Like Roswell, that was real. All of that stuff. There was an alien crash. If you'd like to hear the rest of this episode, subscribe to Broken Simulation in your podcasting app or check us out at youtube.com/Sam Tripoli.
Go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Tinfoil hat.